Hello, I'm Jack Rickard, and this is Electric Vehicle Television, EVTV. I'm here with my compadre and consigliere, El Braino Noto. What do you know, Brain?
Well, actually, he doesn't know he's sitting here with me because he can't see anything. He's looking like Ray Charles. Oh, there he is. Yeah, okay, I'm here.
It's the Geordie LaForge effect.
It is. It's the Geordie look, man.
Yeah.
I told you they were giving away, what was it, for a $10,000 donation to one of his foundations or something. You actually got to eat dinner with him, LeVar Burton, and wear the goggles. So you didn't even have to do that. He's got the goggles.
Maybe we ought to invite him to EVCon.
There you go. Bring his goggles.
This is our new DLSR quadcopter.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it is pretty cool. I haven't actually been flying it much. I'm a licensed helicopter pilot.
You are. It would be legal.
But I'm fascinated by it, and I've been having Jesse Hale practice with it. And Ergo Ipso is our new intro.
Our intro, yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. Yeah.
And if you'll watch the screen behind us, you can probably get into some pretty heavy stomach nausea watching EVTV today. You actually wear these goggles, and you can see out the GoPro camera.
Yeah, are you actually directing the camera?
And you're actually directing the camera and flying the helicopter.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's unlike the earlier radio-controlled helicopters. You don't really have to fly it. It's gyro-stabilized.
Nice.
So you move it up and down and forward and backwards and left and right. But it maintains its own level.
Okay. How cool.
And they're quite fascinating. There is a TED Talk about athletic algorithms.
Yes. Yeah.
From MIT, I think, using quadcopters. That is a must-see. It's 30 minutes long. I'm not going to reproduce it
here. Yeah,
here.
it's pretty cool.
But you have to see it. And this is, of course, electric drive.
Yes.
And lithium battery. And I, as an aviator, or past aviator, my medical's lapsed, my planes are all sitting down there, because I'm playing with you guys. But this is doable on this scale, and it's doable on a larger scale, too.
I bet. Yeah. I bet.
And guess who would be the guys to do that?
What, some electric guys?
It could be. And so that's the quadcopter. And I think that's viable. I actually want to set this in a dish that spins and uses the aerodynamics of, it's beyond a Frisbee. It's called a super ring.
Okay.
And it has a phenomenal glide ratio.
Really?
But I believe if we took this and put it in a larger dish that then rotated about the axis at an accelerating rate, and we took off, that you might be able to do a useful range. Of course, you're using maximum power to get off the ground, but once you get going through the air,
Then you're cool.
the glide characteristics of the dish would become your primary flight surface, and these could be cut back to a very minimal level.
Ah, okay.
And you can actually get a little bit of range out of the thing.
Oh, cool.
This one I got comes with 5 batteries.
Nice. Well, you know what else? If you had that dish on and it's rotating, it couldn't be considered a flying saucer. People might make some calls, in Roswell.
Do you remember Amazon saying this goofy thing about delivering their packages?
Yeah.
They've applied with the FAA this morning.
I saw that this morning, yeah.
For permission to basically do what we're doing.
Do this, yeah.
Right now, there's a ban on it for any commercial purposes.
Yes.
By the FAA. Now, a judge has already pretty much struck that down.
Yeah, then they say the FAA really didn't have jurisdiction.
The FAA really didn't have jurisdiction over those.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an issue. But Bezos is actually talking about getting out in the parking lot, at least on Amazon property, and playing
And
with
playing
his
around.
concept.
Cool.
And he says that he could make one that'll go 50 miles and carry 5 pounds, and that 86% of their packages fall into that.
Really? 5 pounds and under? Wow.
But I think it's going to give us a new dimension, not just to shoot an intro, but to run along next to a car
Yes. Yeah, that'll be cool.
and get a little bit different view
Yeah.
of what it's like to drive an electric car. So that's what we're about with the quadcopter. I'm not going to immediately build a full-scale one, but we are going to try to develop a little bit more video capability using it and get used to it. And I'm going to noodle on it a little bit.
Yes. Cool.
But there's nothing going on here that can't be done 10 times that size.
In a scale, yeah, right. Sure.
And, so, exciting times. Do we have any news about electric vehicles?
Yeah, we do
Bring
have
on.
some news about electric vehicles. But sales figures, when I want to believe her, they're still out there buying electric vehicles, guys. This July, the Mercedes B-Class should be out. Maybe 9,000 of the cars that we actually call electric cars that, don't have some kind of range extender or C-Max energy or things like that. They account for like 4,000 out of 12, so about 8,000 cars. The BMW i3s did 358 again this month. They're,
No, that's very similar to last month, right?
yeah, that's a
And,
very...
and by this month, you're talking June.
June, yeah, this is the June numbers. I'm sorry, yeah, it's the June numbers. The Leaf down a little bit to 2,347, but year on year, they're about a third over their 2013 deliveries. So they're looking pretty good. Tesla delivered 1,200 in the U.S., maybe 600 in the rest of the world, but they don't report. No one knows exactly what they're doing.
The numbers I've seen are kind of interesting. I think that Tesla is undergoing the same, what I have referred to on the show in the past, as the low-hanging fruit effect.
Yeah, yeah.
They got out with their $55,000 car, which wound up being $100,000.
Did, yes.
And they did sell them very, as many as they could make up to a point. But U.S. sales are actually dwindling
Okay, all right.
as they get through all of the early adopters that were sitting around waiting to buy the car
Sure,
anyway.
right. They were going to buy it anyway, yep.
They're kind of masking that with European sales, and now they had 583 sales in China. In May.
Yes.
And I assume a similar number in June. And so they're sort of introducing continents
Yes, right.
to mask the dwindling interest in the previous continents as essentially latent demand.
Sure.
Is
It's satisfied,
fulfilled.
yeah, yes.
And that's a latent demand curve is what I'm referring to as the low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
easy sales, they don't really have to sell it.
No, they were going to
Guys
show up
knew-
anyway.
They learned it before.
Yeah. When they read the
Before
first
Elon
press release,
did.
that's right.
And I guess I'm among them.
Yes, yes.
And so that's now by the time he runs out of continents, we'll have the Model X, hopefully.
Oh, that would make sense, yeah, sometime next year. Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's just kind of how he's keeping the ball in the air.
yeah.
But the electric car acculturation is not done, guys.
No,
It's
still far
there's
from
a
it.
long way to go. We're getting a little bit of momentum, really not so much from Tesla as from Nissan.
Yes, yeah.
Nissan has hung in there with a goofy car, the wrong car introduced with a lot of problems that they're gradually fixing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it actually is a pretty nice little car. It got creamed for having a 60 or 70 mile range. Well, a lot of people are finding what we already knew, that yes, that's limiting, except for about 75% of the population that means you have to charge twice a week.
Yeah, that's right. You're good. Going back and forth to work in the grocery
At
store.
home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't need level 2 charging station.
And so they're actually sort of building at this point. They got the latent demand curve, the low hanging fruit out of the way, and just went to discouraging numbers. Oh my goodness, it was, Carlos, go and just shoot me. But I mean, it's kind of it. Now there's nothing to celebrate there. It's by dozens per month.
Yeah, right.
And then they'll have a setback month where they'll lose 100. But if you compare it with last year, and they have made some improvements in the 2014 model.
Oh, yes.
It's starting to creep up. What that is what we want you to do, and that is leaf owners on a leaf owner.
Sure.
This is, if you drive it and you love it, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
The Volt can't get off the ground, except that among Volt owners, they've led J.D. Power's customer satisfaction poll for 2 years now.
Yeah, they're very
In the
satisfied.
automotive category.
Yeah, they're very satisfied customers, yeah.
And the Volt guys love the Volt.
Yeah.
And all the people that don't love the Volt don't have one.
Right, that's it.
Which
Yeah.
would be all's right with the world, except for this huge gap in knowledge and experience. And so the debate about electric cars and hybrids continues, furiously fueled by a lot of heavily heartfelt opinions from people that don't know squat about either one.
I don't have the slightest idea.
Which sort of clouds the whole issue for everybody else.
Right.
And, but as you'll see, leaf owners give a ride to the neighbor or the brother-in-law.
Yep.
It's like, well, why is everybody talking bad about this car?
I know. Why is it
Well,
such a
because
secret?
they have a 300-mile commute every day, which makes them one of, certainly among the more intelligent of our species.
There you go. Yeah.
Living 150 miles from work.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
I still love George Carlin's comment, consider the intelligence of the average American. Now, understand that half the population's stupider than that.
That's right. You do an average, right? It's ugly.
News. What do we know?
Let's
What's
see.
new stuff this week?
Well, let's see. This week, it looks like Pennsylvania has gotten over this whole thing with some of the Tesla stores. They're going to cap them at 5, but it's a compromise. So it's another state that's not an issue anymore.
Cap them at 5. Doesn't that sound brilliant?
Yeah.
We don't know whether we should have them or we should not have them. So we'll have them, but we'll cap them at 5.
Cap them at 5.
And what
yes.
is the magic of the number 5, and just what, pray tell, do they imagine that that's going to do?
There can't be any magic, and they don't know what it's going to do. It's just kooky.
The
State
blind
legislature.
following of the blind
That's
in
right.
this case.
State legislatures just have nothing to do. What's interesting, and this is electric vehicles in China anyway. China has exempted the 10% purchase tax on what they're calling new energy autos, so electrics, plug-in hybrids, and fuel cells. From September 1st to the end of 2017, they're going to go ahead and just exclude them from that 10% levy. So hopefully that'll bump the sales in China some. And we know they haven't been as good as they had hoped.
Well, they have a problem getting people to buy electric cars. But I think that the Chinese government has clarified dramatically that they want them to.
That they want, exactly.
And every morning in Beijing, where 20,000 children report to the emergency rooms with asthma attacks
That's right.
from the air,
That's right. They can't take the air.
the problem grows more urgent. With them, it's not really saving the fuel. It's you can't see to get home in the middle of the day in some cities.
Right, and you certainly can't breathe on your way home.
And it's they're doing everything. Lotteries for registration.
Yeah, for license plates, yeah.
You combine that with the just the mere number of vehicles, the traffic jam.
Yeah. remember that one, what was it, 12 days long or something? The traffic.
No, they had traffic jams 100 kilometers long that last for days.
I know, stuck.
It's incredible.
It's crazy.
So better them than us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Except that, population being what it is, and the human propensity to breed in digital fashion.
Yes. Makes it a little tough.
In powers of two. It's our future.
Yes. Yeah, there's going to be more.
If we don't
more people.
Get a hold of it.
Yep.
And limiting the population is not a very good strategy.
No, apparently that doesn't work. Yeah.
What they did was limit everybody to one child. Well, unforeseen consequences.
Yeah, right. The old unintended
apparently
consequences.
They have Democrats too in China.
The central planning
Are
units.
Democrats and communists the same thing? I don't know. But nobody stopped to think that you could be 40 years old with two aging parents, and as the only child, you're their sole support.
Yes.
And by the way, you're married to a woman
Yes.
who also had one in a family, and you got her two parents,
Yes.
and are responsible for sole support of hers too.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And you got your kid.
Yeah, you got your one kid.
and this is not working.
Yeah,
in
no,
families.
it's not working.
It's a terrible drain on the middle-aged.
Sure. Yeah, it must be.
They're getting it from both directions.
They're
They
getting
got to take care of
creamed.
their kids and get him educated, and then they've got 4 parents offering advice and needs for food.
That's right.
And
And living in the same apartment or the same house
Yeah, that's right.
in the country.
But ultimately, the car thing, I think the main problem in China is they do not have a culture of garages.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, there just isn't a place to put your car to charge it.
And
Yeah.
so they got 20 million electric bicycles and no interest in electric cars. I would say no interest. The well-heeled over there apparently are receiving the Tesla very well.
Yes.
What's the story about the entrepreneur who makes?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What does he make? Heat pumps.
Yeah, he makes
He's a wealthy heat pump magnate
Yeah,
in China.
Andrew Zhong, CEO of Phoenix, is one of the first Chinese Tesla owners, and he got a plan to actually put up chargers for Tesla vehicles and these new energy-loving owners, as he called them. And he got, I don't know, a couple of thousand people. He got 20 places to put chargers.
He got some chargers
Yeah, he got some chargers.
from Tesla
Yeah.
and promised to sprinkle them around, and then kind of went sort of an Indiegogo campaign.
Yep.
Except he's funding
He's
it.
funding it, yes.
Well, Tesla's funding it.
Yes.
And he got he put up online looking for people with locations that would be willing to host charging,
Host a charger, yeah.
and had thousands of responses, a couple of thousand.
Yeah, I think a couple thousand responses, yeah.
And they've already got 20 of these up sprinkled along a route from North to South China.
Mm-hmm.
You can drive from the north to the south. Tesla, by the way, hasn't got their supercharger network off the ground over there.
No.
And this guy's already got a network built.
Right.
And
right.
they're driving it.
They're driving it, yeah. And he says here he also ordered 20 Teslas as rewards for his employees. He's going to have 20 happy employees receiving Model S's. It's good. What a guy.
Yeah, we
what fun.
gave out a copper helmet award this week. Had a couple of guys come from Long Island to show me their motor that had let's see, fiber optic rings in it, and that somehow the magnetic field accelerated the photon packets into the magic box, and that's what created the excess energy beyond what you put in. And I, after brief explanation, they had all kinds of stuff. They wanted to do an NDA and a whole bunch of stuff for me to see the real thing, and I told them, save both of us, save both of us some time. Here, put on this helmet and sit down and have a glass of wine with me. And we talked about a lot of other things.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I
We talked about a lot of
actually
other stuff. That's it.
wouldn't talk with them about their fiber optic motor. And I said, you understand that photon packets outside of photon torpedoes.
Yes, is that
on
right?
Star Trek,
Photon torpedoes on Star Trek.
Can't
Now they
actually be
work.
accelerated past, I'm guessing, the speed of light.
That's what I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the limiting factor, is that old
But,
speed of
but
light.
if you can get the magnetic field to magically do this,
To
you
work on light?
you take power out of the magnetic field.
Oh,
And so
okay.
this is another variant of the magnet motor and the it's a copper foil helmet thing. They were kind of crestfallen that I burst their bubble. They said they had to return and see if there was really something there.
Okay. A letter?
After I told them
an
without
invoice?
even looking at it that there's nothing there.
Oh, man.
But I suggested that, I think Elon has missed a trick with his charge stations.
Yes.
And I've talked
about
about it
this.
on numerous occasions, and that is the ho-hos and the ding-dongs and the Bloomberg Big Gulp is where the money is. And I gave him a copy of the annual report of Touche-Card, a Canadian company that has 13,000 convenience stores across the U.S., Canada, and Europe, and so forth. Does about $35 billion.
Man, that's amazing.
About a 35% margin. They grow 20% a year.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
I mean, it's just convenience stores, gas stations, basically. And by the way, your gas station makes about 4 cents.
Yeah,
a
it doesn't
gallon,
make much, no.
if that. If they're not doing the sign war with the guy across the
Right,
street.
right.
Yeah, but it's still the quickest way to become a millionaire in America is either auction off dead people's furniture or
Yeah, right.
run a string of convenience stores. You probably need 3 to really get off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But I suggested doing what do they call it, a charge me or a zap me,
There you go.
a thing using Scott Rusaw's solar roadways panels on the parking lot.
Oh,
And a
okay.
nice building with a ladies' locker room and a men's locker room, like at the
Country Club, sure.
and maybe a sushi bar. Everybody loves gas stations.
Oh, yeah, gas station sushi,
And,
yeah.
And your ho-hos, yum-yums.
Yep. Nice chicken gizzards.
Yeah, good chicken gizzards and stuff. And
Panko.
And then franchise them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you got to have massive batteries and solar. So if you own the ground, give me $3 million. We show up with a flatbed truck, put down the building, the parking lot, all the
whole
stuff,
deal.
hand you the keys, and drive off into the sunset.
That's right. Go
By the way,
fill
you
the
have to
truck up.
buy all your Funyuns from us.
That's right. The Funyum magnates.
Yes, and your syrup.
That's right.
And
All
your
your syrup.
cups. We'll sell advertising on the cups.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. Advertising.
He said, do the IPO and let the
Franchises, yeah.
all on the same day.
There you go. Okay. Yep. Just get it all over with.
I think it would work. Well, you wind up with somebody there maintaining a charging thing. We got charging stations all over the country that are abandoned
Yeah, they're
and
just
don't work.
sitting there. Yeah,
and
they're
that
sitting
plug-in map is a joke.
Yeah.
And poor Nicky Gordon Broomstick wound up in France on a flatbed truck driving around in the middle of the night looking for a hotel.
That's right. Wanting to go to Germany.
And it's because none of the places she went knew anything about the charge station. Just do a charging convenience store. Have superchargers and CHA-demos and SAE Rev Bs. What do
Yeah.
we care?
Just do them all. Who cares?
Just plug them into the islands out there.
Yeah.
And
All you want to do is sell Twinkies anyway.
yeah, right. You're making it on a little Debbie's snack.
Yeah,
cakes.
little snack cakes. That's right.
In California, vitamin water and pita pockets and bean sprout salads.
Yeah. Tailor your
Same-
offerings.
Yeah, well, it'll be different in China too.
Yeah,
You'll
that's
have
right.
your,
Chicken feet.
happy family.
Yeah, that's right.
Snow
The
peas.
good stuff. Yeah, that's right. Depending on where you are.
It depends on where you're at. In Britain, I guess you'd have your boiled bangers and mash.
Little haggis in Scotland.
And in Ireland, of course, you'd have the Irish 7-course dinner, a boiled potato and a 6-pack of beer.
There you go.
So, you have to tune it to the
Yeah.
international locale. But
right.
British cooking.
That's
what
right.
What an oxymoron.
That's right. It's tough.
They're enraged when I say that, but none of them have ever tasted salt and pepper. They have no idea what I'm talking about.
That's right.
We put a little, paprika and some Cajun stuff on some of their food, and they would, I guess, think it was poison.
It can't be any good. It'll kill you.
So so that's a copper foil helmet, thing.
Yeah. I got a call today too on one. So we may have pulled down our hack contest a little early.
Well, yeah.
Apparently, there's a SciScan conference in Beijing this month, 16th and 17th, and they are bringing in a Tesla, I guess, and some computers and seeing if the guys can hack their way through it, maybe drive it with a laptop or do something.
I'm following guys taking leaves apart and stuff, and we're not out of the reverse engineering game. That's kind of our game. And,
yes.
Colin Kidder's turned into quite a resource, and Mark has, and we're going to be able to knock off some of these drivetrains and stuff. I was talking about doing a book for the whole car.
Yeah.
And
Man.
it's just I'll admit it's a fantastic idea. It would work.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a huge boon to everybody, including Tesla. But I can't do everything at the same time.
Right. No, there's no way.
Even with help.
Yeah.
You just can't. You got to pick your battles. And I would love to do that one, except I'm doing this one.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And it's just not feasible to do everything at the same time.
No, and in fact, some of you guys that did fund our Indiegogo events, at least the ones with PayPal, I refunded yesterday.
Okay, good.
Some of the guys, I may have missed one of you. Guys with credit cards, I don't think I can until after it goes down, right? Is that what happens with credit cards?
I don't think they get charged. The Indiegogo people are so strange.
We
They won't
couldn't
let me
tell.
take down the thing.
I
So
know.
I changed it into a Let's Sue Indiegogo thing.
Yes.
And they've never...
They've never
apparently
done
that
anything.
doesn't bother them.
No, apparently they're fine.
It's just
put up whatever you
bizarre.
want.
So, but I don't think the credit card guys have actually paid.
Been processed yet until the
And
end
I
of it.
never gave Indiegogo a way to give me the money.
Okay.
So if you paid my credit card, Indiegogo's got it, but they're very strange people.
Okay. Yeah, so we did 6 of you, and we're looking to see if there's any more yesterday.
Speaking of refunds, it's been 2 years since I purchased 10 Pulsars from Ryan Bone.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy doesn't even communicate for months at a time. I get no email. He tells me he's working on it, and this has gone on for 2 years. I finally just threw a fit, and George Hamster was sufficiently embarrassed
Oh, okay.
by
Okay.
Ryan to sort of insist that he return the funds.
Okay,
So
okay.
we got a $15,000 refund. He had sent me $3,000 before, which made no sense. I don't even know what that was for. And
Yeah.
and then we have a Pulsar around here
Yeah, we're not
somewhere
sure where.
that we've never quite got out of the box.
We never played with.
So we're all square.
Yeah, we're getting good.
George is a
Yeah.
good man.
Yes.
And but Ryan had to be prodded to be.
Took a little spanking. Listen, we always like to report any, opportunities in the industry for hiring and things. It looks like that Tesla's getting a little serious with their autonomous driving units, and they have pulled people from Hyundai, a couple guys internally from Tesla, Volkswagen, BMW, Volvo, the Applied Physics Lab at Johns Hopkins, GoPro, Carnegie Mellon, Gentex. I don't know what they're doing, but there's some jobs out there if you know anything about autonomous vehicles.
What is it I'm missing on the autonomous vehicle thing, Brian? I don't get this.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure how you...
Why would you want your car to drive?
I don't know. I like driving.
I don't like
I
driving.
know, and you don't
but I
like
wouldn't
driving
trust the
until
car
I
to
know
do
I
it.
wouldn't either.
Now, here's what I'd go for.
Who do you sue?
Here's what I would go for is, if we had this wire charging loops in the road and an error signal, and I could put it in a lane and put it on cruise, and the system
Right.
wouldn't let me hit anybody in front of me.
Yeah, almost like you're on
and
a
it wouldn't
rail.
let anybody hit me from behind as long as I'm in that lane,
Yeah.
and it's locked into that lane. On interstate driving
Sure.
between cities,
Yeah, it's like you're on a rail. That's not bad.
I could kind of pull up the big screen and do a little reading or something.
Yeah.
Productive going down the road. But I mean, like in town and stuff, autonomous driving.
Yeah, I don't know if that's Tesla's vision for autonomous driving is around town. They may be more of what you were describing in the previous, the kind of giving you safe zones and maybe parking assists and things like that. Yeah.
I don't even understand the auto park thing. You can't park the car.
Yeah, if you,
You
can't,
don't know how to park the car.
Yeah, you're supposed to learn that in driving
You
school.
want to get out and let the car park itself?
Scary parking. It is funny, and they should not have a park feature because I really enjoy
No,
watching people parallel park.
A valet feature.
Yeah.
Roy Rogers could whistle and his horse would come get you.
That's right.
Now that would be okay.
That's right. That's cool.
I whistle and my car
comes out.
up.
That's right, with the
That
air
would be
on and
all right.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, right. I could dig that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Car, come get me.
Come get me.
Trigger.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, like what was that? Scotty in one of the Star Treks talking to the computer. Computer. It's an old style one from the 80s.
Right. What else is going on with racing?
One more motorsport. John Metric, he's going to be at the show speaking, and John's with Nedra and on Sunday, the 17th at EVCon.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting together our drag race, and that's coming up now in a month. Don't forget, August 12th.
We tried that last year, and we didn't have 100% participation, but the guys that stayed went to it, kind of liked it.
Oh, it was a blast. We set, 4 or 5 records out there, and
We actually had a Nedra drag race that's about 30 miles from here.
Yeah.
At what's the name of that raceway?
it's called Dino Dom's Sykeston Raceway.
I know, Don.
Yeah.
Sykeston Raceway.
Yeah. Be there.
And we went down on the Sunday
Uh-huh.
at the end of the week,
Kind of killed our wine drive.
Yeah, right. It's kind of ditched the wine drive.
Yes. They like drag racing.
But I think the drag race is a great way to finish it, and John has been very supportive of EVCon and that event, and we're just going to do whatever he wants there. So you'll get to do at EVCon our quarter mile.
Eighth, still eighth,
It's
yeah,
still
at the airport.
At the airport, which is kind of a fun drive. All
Yeah,
the cars
we're just
get-
having a blast,
Just get a
yeah.
time and a
Yeah.
ticket. We're going to do better about publishing the results this year and the tickets. That's my vow and their marching orders. We'll see how it comes out. But then that's for fun on Friday, play day.
Yes.
And then on Sunday, we're actually, this is a NEDRA sanctioned
Yeah, event out there.
event.
Yeah, we
And you get,
professionally timed and run on actually one of the oldest 8th mile drag strips in the United States. It's actually very nice strip. Yeah, real cool.
boy, we're so behind on projects. I had a little race car I was going to build you for that maybe next year.
Okay.
We've been doing the Carmen Ghia for
We're
a
going to
year
do the
now.
Carmen Ghia for a year on, and everything else in
There's
between.
so much going on that that's what I mean with the Tesla hacker thing. I'd just love to do it, but
How would we?
we've got stuff I don't even have time to do here that we need to be doing.
And one last piece of race notice here. So John Metric ended up on some track, I'm assuming in Texas, and he ended up running against a Model S. And John is running pretty good right now. He ran in the quarter mile a 9.27 at 143 miles an hour.
That's pretty quick.
Model S, not bad, 12.7 seconds at 102, but that's a big whipping.
That really is.
That
That means
3
the
seconds.
Miata is out of sight and the Model S is still pedaling, which is very interesting to me. We'll have to mention that in the Tesloids forums. I had gotten in there some months ago before I knew what was going on and ran into these guys that are just like chanting the most utter nonsense I'd ever heard. And that was that all home-built electric cars are made of lead. They go 25 miles and they have a top speed of 45 miles an hour and they're deadly dangerous. And this guy's just going on and on and on. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's like from 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. That's
and he insisted,
urban
no,
legend.
you just don't know what's going on. I do. I went to a club meeting and I know all about it. And I'm like, I don't know. This
Okay.
is not that way. And here's, And we got in this big thing, a huge argument over the merits of doing your own car, and I figured out what was going on. I had run into it once before. You remember we did a Mini Cooper Clubman.
We did.
And we did
2009.
it about the time that BMW bought 500 AC propulsion drivetrains.
Yes.
And did a quick conversion of some a Mini Cooper, not the Clubman.
Not the Clubman, just the regular one. Yeah.
And leased them out. And I thought, well, these are my people. I mean, this is the car I chose to convert.
Right,
Of course,
right.
I did a Clubman. But, hey, we can get in there and be buddies. And every place I would go where they would have these blogs and things about the Mini Cooper, there was kind of a chill in the air.
Oh, okay.
And I finally figured out what it was, and this is exactly what's going on among the Tesloids. They write a check, buy a car that they know very little about.
Yeah.
Everybody on the internet wants to be an expert, even if it's passing along in a very paternalistic and condescending fashion. The stuff they read in the previous message
That's right. You had like 30 seconds ago.
30 seconds ago. And of course, they all want to be pioneers in this save the planet electric thing.
Okay.
And by virtue of having written a check and bought a Tesla Model S, they're quite entitled to that.
Yeah, I would assume that.
And
that feeling.
I don't even have a problem with that.
No.
But they can't do it with me in the room.
Right. Yeah, they can't do it with anybody's.
Or with anybody that knows anything about
anybody's done
electric cars.
vehicles. Yes.
They're reading shit out of the handbook, and they're still debating what's in the Tesla batteries. I told them 2 years ago, and they're still going back and forth about it.
They're magic.
They don't realize you can buy the cells from China. You can make your own.
Make your own.
But they're still going back and forth about this. Not very knowledgeable people, frankly.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, in our crowd.
Yeah, in our crowd, yeah.
And it's just a different crowd. And if we're in the room with them, they're in horror. They've spent all this money to be a pioneer, and then they're not a pioneer.
Not a pioneer, yeah.
They're just a guy who bought a car.
Yeah.
And I think it's appropriate that they feel like pioneers. So I just got out of the thing.
Hey, and just let them play with themselves.
Right?
Oops.
Don't play with themselves, have their own sandbox. It's all good,
Yeah.
And so, but if any of the people who actually build a car in a garage are in their forum, it's a little daunting for them, and they just make up nonsense and react very badly. Very poor behavior. Actually.
Tesla owners behaving badly.
Tesla owners behaving badly because they're kind of bitterly at a position as experts.
Yeah,
And,
in
how
that
every
arena.
forum develops
Right.
a couple of guys that has a little bit of knowledge, and then he becomes the local expert.
Sure.
And then the rest of them. And I didn't realize it until my conversation with Otmar after announcing the hack.
Oh, right.
That they actually believe that all this will happen. It's again the awe of the corporation. They can make millions of a thing, and that's how we'll get there.
Right. If we just have millions.
Guys, they can make millions, but if nobody wants millions, none of it happens, including most of them go out of business, which is where the big guy comes in to pick off the motors at 4 cents on the dollar.
Swoop down and get the motors.
And the activity that you want to do if you are a Tesla owner and want to further Tesla is go give people rides in Tesla and share the desire.
Yeah.
Now that's a little hard because the car is so expensive, and if you would build your own, it's a lot less daunting to look at a 64 Rambler that cost $4,000. It got converted to electric. Even though you got 20 grand in it, it's not 100.
Right, it's not 100 grand.
And
it's
you're
approachable.
driving around electric. John Metrick just, and one of the things was that you could never build a car, yourself that would beat a Model S. 4.2 seconds, and I said, well, half of you are never going to see 4.2 seconds in the car. Everything you own in the back seat.
And heck, and I mean,
and you don't know how to drive anyway, so
right. You still have to know how to, and the guy did red light. So he didn't even, his time really even didn't count. He didn't know how to launch at a drag strip.
It's putting a Model S owner up against John Metrick, who I think designs his own freaking batteries.
Exactly, yeah.
In fact, he does a presentation at EVCON on how to take a matrix of 15 different kinds of batteries and get down to the best bang for the buck for racing.
Right, for racing applications, sure.
Just output of raw power. And so the juxtaposition of him with Tesla owners is just like nonsense. But the ultimate irony is they don't realize that J.B. Straubel started out with a freaking golf cart.
It's just what I was going to mention, yeah. J.B. Straubel's one of us.
Tesla's all busy trying to look legitimate to the investor community and the press and so on and so forth. But most of those people are us.
Yeah.
And but their quest to change the world numerically, it will only work if the population is acculturated to want the vehicles.
Yes. Yep.
And so that's Jeff Southern, by the way.
Yeah.
Stayed in the forum and fought with them for weeks.
Did he go right,
and
Jeff? Way to go.
And he was very patient, and he laid out a lot of facts and stuff, and they just would not listen. I'd go back in and read what he was saying and what they were saying. I'm a professional writer. It's not even appropriate for me to be in
You shouldn't be in there.
Clowns, trying to two-finger in their opinion of stuff anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's funny.
So, again, fiber optic rings and magnetic fields. Right. It's all magic to all that.
That's right. Technical
and so
stuff.
I'm not going to pick on cripples. And truly, I mean, these are. I own a Model S and would love to be part of a group that own Model S's, but I can't be because I ruin it for them.
Right. Yeah.
And Jeff does too. And he finally retired. And he's with us later today. He's come from Kennesaw, Georgia, and will be here.
Cool. I just had one more thing, just a belated birthday wish to Tesla 1.0, Nikola, which was July 10th, 1856 he was born.
And Elon has contributed $1 million to the Tesla Museum.
To the museum.
This guy started the museum, and Elon helped him.
Yes.
And then he put out a kind of a brazen appeal that he needed $8 million, and don't try to negotiate it down. It won't get done unless I get $8 million and begged Elon for it. He didn't give him the $8 million, but he did give him $1 million.
Yeah, he did.
And that's pretty substantial.
Yeah, he did.
So hopefully
nice.
there will be some Tesla museum.
Cool.
And that's Nikolai.
Nikolai, yes.
Happy
birthday.
Let's go to Europe.
Okay.
And see what's going on with EMI testing and Anna Kluppenberg and EVTV Amsterdam.
Nice.
Well, hey, EVTV. Here's Anna Kloppenborg with that weekly EVTV Amsterdam update. This week we are back at the shop, and we have a lot of new toys. Back from the Electric and Hybrid Marine Expo 2014, a very boat-centric kind of week. But this week we're back at the shop and we have a lot of car-related news. The happy coincidence is that once it rains, it pours. So we have both our adapted Siemens and adapter plate clutch setups back in the shop. And we have our warp mated to a marine reverse drive back at the shop. That means that we can power ahead, keep building, as we like to say, with all our projects that we have going on. So to start with, the good automotive news is not only do we have the Siemens mated to WRX bolt pattern setup, the WRX transmission is standing there behind me, but we also have the Siemens mated to Jeep CJ5 Wrangler bolt pattern and clutch plate setup, so that can go into the Jeep standing right behind us, our first customer commissioned conversion that we're going to be doing. No sooner than we have these motors back that we can also share with you the great news that we have finished our EMI compliance testing for the Siemens DMOX setup and for the Curtis 144-volt HPVS setup. So this means that the boat guys from Amsterdam who were forced to be under the radar, not being allowed to play out with the cars, with the big boys, because we do not have our certification and will not be able to get road legal, now we can. We can now offer both the Siemens and HPVS setups as installed by us and then to be road legal in Holland or basically anywhere in Europe. But with our set of documentation and our point-by-point described adaptations, some shielding, some boxes, some setup configuration items, we can actually sell a complete set with certification, have you install it, and then still be able to get road legal with Dutch or your local DMV, or we call RDV, unit. So it's definitely a new step for the EVTV Amsterdam shop. Not only do we have the great components, and can we serve you, anywhere in Europe with those, but we actually now have European-ready certification as it comes for electromagnetic interference. Not just important for the cars, because in fact we're starting to notice that our more commercial-orientated customers on the boat side actually see a lot of certification as well, and they need to know that when they're a ferry or when they're a canal boat and they have people's lives on the line, that you can actually supply certificates saying that the machinery and the electronics are not either susceptible to interference from outside and or cause interference with other apparatuses as they come by. So let's take a little look at this setup, the new bling. We finally have a Dutch partner to do adapter plate and motor adaptations with us. So far, we've been able to offer those few things, quite a few things actually, set out by the EVTV network that Jack has had developed and now stocked. So we're talking about Volkswagen bolt pattern adaptations for all the B-face and keyed spline motors. We're talking about the Siemens 2B face adapter that Jack had made, and a few of those. But for all the other stuff, I had to explain to European customers that our best shot at the moment was contacting an American party and seeing if they had something that could be made for whatever they're doing, and then have it shipped all the way over here. Besides the cost and time involved in getting adapters made in a different continent, we also have the issue that it's very hard to service something that was made so far away. Now, let me just turn this off. That's the compressor. So now we have a local partner, meaning that we can get something made to spec here in Holland, but also can control that everything fits, is balanced, and works well. And if not, have service done here instead of sending stuff there and back again, which is just really not going to work. Besides that, we're actually very excited to be working with Speed On, a kit car company dedicated to high-performance motorsports for the last 10 years or so. Has grown to about 8 or 9 guys working full time and doing a lot of American muscle cars. I think I showed I'm sure I showed the EVTV audience some of the stuff they had there, and I'll pop in a little video of one of their latest gas guzzlers they put on the road just now. Soon to be electric, but definitely electric, are these two Siemens motors, now mated to a 1969 Jeep bolt pattern and a Subaru WRX transmission bolt pattern. So that's Speed On in Emmeloord. Misha runs the show. He found us at one of our last boat shows, and we now found him as a pretty excellent fabricator of custom-made adapter plate standards. So let's take a little walk around the table and see what we've got going on here. I'll grab Mr. GoPro and let's check it out. So the trick for us was, for all of you who can remember Eric Chris's talk on building an 818 last EVCon, he was talking about how that transmission out over there is actually set up to have the most of the flywheel outside of that transmission bell housing, or at least sticking out for a little bit. That means that the depth of the adapter plate would start getting really large, which would mean that the length of a motor, especially if looking at an AC35 times 2, would be prohibitive to actually get it into the frame and fit. Well, for several reasons, but including the one of size, we decided together with Speed On that the best fit for this and other setups could be made if the Siemens original spline, the involute spline sticking out, would be adapted to a more standard keyed spline, nice and wide, and opened up. Now, what this does is it means that the pilot bearing in the WRX, but also in the CJ5 and in many transmissions, can actually go into the spline with a little bearing holding on in here. We see it here in the back for the WRX. This one, of course, hangs on the spline shaft of the transmission, and then in the back we have a bearing there. If you can see, here you see the standard opening we have allows for different size bearings to hold different size pilot shafts. And then here you see this is where in the CJ5 the pilot shaft of the Borg-Warner transmission that's in their standard will fit in. In doing that, so being able to put in the pilot bearing here, adapting directly to the flywheel here with what they call a puck, we keep the distance between transmission and motor to an absolute minimum, allowing for much smaller adapter plates. In the case of the Jeep, even being able to laser cut it at much less cost and much quicker production rate. So even though it does take some adaptation of the Siemens motor, it then leaves us with a much cleaner, smaller, compacter, and stronger combination for the clutch and flywheel setup. So and through this partnership, we'd be able to adapt to many other standards. So if you guys are out there with a project and you want to get road legal with Siemens power, we can not only serve you now the motor, controller, pumps, pre-charge relays, and all those things that are part of the setup, but we'll also be able to offer you the adapter plate clutch setup, making it a more of a bolt-in event once you receive all the goods and start on your conversion. So pretty exciting stuff on this front. We'll have to show how they go into the vehicles in the next couple of weeks. We'll have a lot of good building for us to go. And it won't just be cars, because we do have a bit of boat news as well. I have that cabin cruiser, the Joni, that we've been meaning to get finished in time for my family vacation. We want to take that baby out and have some fun in the sun with the kids, do a little camping, and I've got another about week or two to finish that, or we're not going to be that happy at home. Well, luckily, we have our warp set up back, and our local shipyard that we work with, Droog op Water, was able to mate it to a Hearth keerkoppeling, a marine reverse drive, and we can do this with a slightly smaller marine reverse, so up to 50 horsepower rated, for a little under 2,000 euros as she sits. So we make a rear mount, we make the whole adaptation setup, and in here is a shaft adapter to a damper plate setup. So you have the springed disc that is normally on top of a flywheel is in there as a coupling up to the spline shaft of the Hearth marine reverse. So let's see what this does. Get a little wild on you. Stick our camera over here. Maybe hold her a bit. So this is forward, neutral, and reverse with a 2.75. So this is a 2.72, 2.74 reduction setup. So the warp can turn at good RPMs, meaning that it's not too much amps, it's a little more volts. And at the same time, you're limiting the output towards the propeller to very normal boat kind of RPMs. Let me turn this off. So there you have it. She needs to be filled with fluid. It all needs to be installed. It will not sound nearly as loud or raspy. But we have our work cut out for us. 818, Jeep, Joni. We're definitely going to keep building. We hope to add to our workload by sending you all certified drive system setups in the next months or so. Please hit us up with an email, sales@evtv-amsterdam.eu, if you have a project that you'd like to discuss with us. And for us, we'll keep building. I hope you guys keep building. Have a great week, guys. Bye-bye. So, hey, guys. Sorry if that was a bit of a rush segment this week. Reason I had to haul ass is we've got a lot of people coming. We're finally going to have a little party here at the shop just to celebrate that we've been at it for a couple of years. We're going to start making that next move up to getting a little more professional than just a couple of guys in a garage. And for today, we have a cooler full of drinks and food. We have our vehicles displayed outside. The 818, some batteries that still need picking up today for our cargo cool customers. And the barbecue. So we're going to get American on their ass. There's Ray getting stuff ready. And so this week, we're not just going to keep building. We're going to party like EV rock stars. And I hope you guys do too. Have a great week, and we'll see you next. Bye-bye.
He's doing some pretty good work.
He's hooked up with a pretty good little fab shop.
Yeah,
there
that
does
goes.
those little
Yep.
cars.
Yeah, those guys.
And I don't even understand what he did to my Siemens motor. You got to explain it to me because it looks cool, but I don't get it. Did he bore out in the middle of the shaft? Does he have a hollow shaft there?
It looks to me like he cut off the splined portion of the shaft that sticks out about an inch, and then left the shouldered part. And
the
then
shouldered part isn't very long.
Again, it's only about an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and it looks like he then bored into it, and he can put bearings in there to take the pilots of the transmissions that then will ride in a bearing, and he's made a adapter, keyed it, and made a actual flange adapter. That's what I think I'm seeing If it is, it's pretty cool.
I love this kid.
Yeah,
He has
great stuff.
taken the bull by the horns. He does boats because cars are hard over there.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
he finally bit down on hard and just went through the process, the EMI testing. See, most of these laws and regulations really are barriers to entry for larger corporations, so you can't play.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in them. However, if you have a profit motive here,
That's true. Yep.
if you go ahead and go through the process and get the certification, then it's a barrier to entry for you.
Right. Yeah.
And so Anna has just qualified 2 new AC systems
Yes.
that you can get from him, and if you get it from him, you get the paper.
So would that mean then you could actually put it in and register the vehicle, I guess? You could
That's
do-
right.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
See, you got to buy the motor and the controller from him, and you kind of have to wire it up per his diagram
Okay.
that he had tested.
Yeah.
And then he gives you a copy of the test thing, and you take that to the
That's
DMV,
cool.
and you've had the EMI testing done.
That's cool.
And so now there's Europe is funny, but don't be dissuaded by it. That's the way to do it, is get some guys together and get
Yeah.
her done.
Yeah.
And so you can go on. Neat things. He has shipped my Delta.
Oh, the Delta's what, in a container or something, or on
It's
this
in
way?
a container and going,
Okay, cool.
and it'll be here the 1st of August.
Nice. Okay.
In time for the show, we've got to get a trailer for it
Oh, okay.
and
okay.
get it at the show. We're going to have both boats in the arena building for EVCon. Brian Seymour is doing kind of a presentation that's nautical in nature.
He is?
Anna will be here. We're going to have a boat conference, and I think boats have a lot of life. And that,
I
that
do
was
too.
where Anna and my relationship started. Was let's do a speedster, a Beck speedster
Yeah. Yeah.
of the water.
Although, yeah, water speedster. Yeah, cool.
And but it extends to everything. Some of these solar panels
Yes.
and a not even very powerful system on a pontoon boat is a dead fall winter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, a
just-
lot of sunshine, a lot
Little
of
inverter,
area.
you got your big screen TV, your stereo, your barbecue, your
That's right.
beer cooler. You're on a boat, barely,
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
and it's like a portable living room,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the water.
on the water, yes.
It's like having a houseboat without the house, just having the good parts.
That's right. Just having the patio,
The patio.
floating patio.
And so there's a lot of ways to cut that cheese. And he's found quite some craftsmen to duplicate that Ray Wright flyer, is what that originally was.
Yes, yes, that's
And
cool.
that's even smaller than our Aristocraft at 15 and a half feet, and all aluminum.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
we can find some way not to string it up like a banjo, or howls like his does, I think we'll be.
I think we'll be good.
It'll
We don't
be,
make a musical instrument out of it.
And so, good work on it.
Yes.
This guy's doing some great stuff. I asked him this morning, just check the fit, and we're actually going to stock the adapters. So have his guy make us a couple for the 818 and the Siemens.
Oh, good.
So
Okay.
you'll be able to mate the Subaru engine and
They put their
the
Subaru
shelf.
tranny. Okay, good.
If we don't have to do too many mods to the motor.
Yeah, I'm just not
If it's
sure.
if it's a bolt-on adapter, see, that thing was very brilliant, but it may be too tricky by half.
Yeah, I think it needed some modifications to the shaft.
I also heard from our Engineering Institute of Lisboa,
Oh, okay. The
Paulo Almeida and Kelso Manaya have done a little circuit, apparently for the Viger or the Viker or whatever it was. And
Oh, the
and they
Vigo
didn't,
they
didn't
did, yeah.
choose to use it, and they've kind of decided to give it to me instead.
Oh, cool.
And
Okay.
and I asked for a few changes, and this is a fascinating device. Let's take a look at Paulo Almeida and our longtime buddy Kelso Manaya.
Yes.
Hello Jack,
Hello, Jack.
greetings from Portugal. So we are doing here a quick video update just to show you our JLD 505 working. The JLD 505 is a small board that we designed, and it's basically able to read current through a shunt. So we can also measure voltage, package voltage up to 500 volts, and it has 3 interfaces. We can do interface through a USB port to a normal computer to do some logging of the values. We can do Bluetooth to a laptop, like in our case, or to a tablet or a smartphone or something like that. And we have CAN bus, so we can hook it up to the Jeff, for example. So this is our first assembled prototype, and we will do some battery testing.
Yeah, now let's test to see if it measures current. Okay.
Okay, so at the moment you can see it's blinking the Bluetooth, and it's looking for to pair up with the device. I have a small program here on my laptop that will allow us to read the currents that the device is actually measuring. As you can see, we can do voltage, current, amp hours, watts, and watt hours. So let's do the Bluetooth connection. I know it's on here. Start this. Okay, a couple of seconds to fix it. Okay, now it's working. So we will do a short circuit test, like,
Like Danny McGuire style.
but instead of a spanner, we're going to use a shunt.
Shunt,
Yeah, it's an 800 amp shunt. So let's see what happens.
Let's see some smoke.
Okay, 1900 amps peak
Yeah,
for 40 amp Calp CE series.
old one.
Not bad. Ooh,
Okay.
smells a little like.
We have another one here. A wind, Thunder Sky, 90 amp hours. So let's test with this one to see what it gives us.
Oh, 3000
3,000 amps and some smoke.
and some smoke.
Good.
So this is battery testing from Portugal. Bye, Jack.
Bye.
Our solar installation
Oh, yeah, okay.
went live this week.
I know. That's pretty cool. It's
And
exciting.
this is quite a program. We put in a 24.4 kilowatt hour solar panel, solar system, which I was sufficiently proud of. It made the introduction.
Yes, it was pretty cool. Yeah, you guys have seen it.
And, so you've
A couple
seen
times.
the panels now. But we started talking about this a year ago. We actually started the program in October, and it took to June 30th.
It did, exactly.
To get it up and running. And June 30th was the final day, the final hour for the $2 per watt
Yes.
program, which now goes to $1.50
It does,
a watt for
yeah.
the next year, and continues through 2020 in ever decreasing amounts until it's like 25 cents a watt.
Okay, okay.
So
Got in on the
we
good
did,
one.
we did pretty good at $2 a watt.
Yes, we got in on the good
And,
one. The last
let's
day.
let's take a look at what that's about.
Okay, cool.
I'm very pleased to announce that our solar installation has been completed and approved. This is kind of interesting. We're on a rebate program whose final day was June 30th. We got the system installed and all the inspections done, and there were a plentitude of them, entirely unnecessary and not by particularly knowledgeable people. But we got them all signed off, and Brian put it in the mail for postmark on June 30th. Ameren UE has received it and said they've received it, and it's all appears to be in order. And they sent out the guy and put in the meter yesterday, and I'm going to show you this meter. It is designed so I won't know what's going on, And of course, it'll take a few minutes to Google it out and find out what all the numbers mean. And then I will know what's going on. And that's why you have an internet, and that's why we built it, me and Al Gore. Our solar cables come in here. I've got an array of 5 inverters. They're actually hooked up to the internet. If Edwin will ever call in the numbers, I can go online and see all this. In the meanwhile, I've got a little panel. They're each putting out about 750 watts each, but it's 6 o'clock at night. And so that's why. And that's our panels. We then have a circuit breaker panel. It goes outside for the convenience, again, Amber and UE, to have a shut off there. That's something for the neighborhood kids to play with and shut me off. And that's its only purpose. And then it comes back in here to a tap box and into one of our regular boxes and to the meter base, and thence to 2 other panels. And so we can use all the electricity we make. If we make any excess, it goes back to the utility company. And it's curiously designed so we won't have power if the grid goes down. That said, like Tim Allen, I'm pretty handy at rewiring the sucker. If we did have a major power outage, I think I could get it all back up in about 30 minutes. I've got stuff to make a waveform for all this to sync to, and we can be back up without terribly messing up the utility grid out there. But their whole attitude about solar is obscene. They want you to have the minimal good out of it and them to have the minimal inconvenience. And they're busy passing laws and regulations to make sure that happens. All that it's done in this case is convenience the neighborhood children who can turn off the photovoltaic array, which won't be a big thrill for them because you can't tell that anything happened unless you know how to read that meter. And so I don't expect that to last very long. And the rest of it, we'll have to figure out a backup way of diverting the output of these panels to a battery and more local system to use in an off-grid fashion. And we'll work all that out. Let's take a look at some of the numbers of how we did this and how we arrived at it and the sizing that we went through, part of it driven simply because of the limit on the $2 rebate program. Let's take a look at insulation and irradiance and see what we can calculate there. I mentioned that we were going to talk a little bit about some solar numbers. We have our solar installation in place, 24.4 kilowatt, 80 Rena-Solar 305 watt panels. I wanted to go through some rules of thumb and calculations with you. I know a lot of you probably know a great deal more about solar power configurations than I do. Although I installed a 15 kilowatt system at my home in Denver in 1998. That was, for some period of time, the largest photovoltaic array at a residence in the world. Small potatoes now, but I wanted to go through just some of the basic calculations that you can use to see why it's kind of taken solar a long time to take off, how very dependent it is on subsidies, and why it isn't really more popular than it is. The last 2 years, it's kind of gone vertical on installations, and I think we've got nothing but blue sky from here on out. Germany actually had a day, for those who believe you can't generate enough electricity, solar, to do any good, but they had a day this year in June where they generated more than 50% of the national requirement for electricity in Germany was by solar. And they did this in a very interesting way. They offered what's called the feed-in tariff, and that is anybody that installed solar panels would get paid by the utility company at a rate quite beyond the normal rate for electricity, up to 40 or 50 cents a kilowatt hour, for a prescribed period of time, say 20 years. And each year they did this, they would change the rate that was paid. But when you signed up that year, that was good for 20 years. And so people were able to finance solar installations, and many, many did take advantage of it, to the point that today, at least for one day in June 2014, Germany produced over half their electricity by photovoltaic arrays. And I think we've got a great future for solar. We saw Scott Broussard's program for solar roads, and that was very gratifying. But it is hard to get much power out of solar today, given the efficiencies we've got. And I want to go through that with you. Here at EVTV, we use about 4,200 kilowatt hours per month in the spring and summer. We have an air conditioning load, and of course we charge cars quite a bit and play with batteries, and that takes some solar. To kind of cut down the glare during the discussion, I've got my shades on. We start with the amount of energy that the sun shines on the earth, and of course we're interested in the amount of it we can capture. The best data that we have available is produced by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, and they track from a number of points across the country the amount of sunshine that falls. Now, clouds pass over, rain falls, and so forth, but they can average all that over the year and give us a figure. And what this map depicts is a flat plate collector, which is what we are, aimed or tilted at latitude. If you want to get the maximum sun, we're at 39.5 degrees here. You would mount it at 39.5 degrees. We're not there with this installation. We used a mounting system that normally puts it at 10 degrees. And we have about a 4-degree slope on the roof. So we're just under 15 degrees. And so we lose some because we're not at the full 39.5 degrees. But assuming a 39.5 degree and an average across the year, what this map depicts by different colors is the number of watt hours that fall per square meter. Insolation is the term of exposing a surface to the sun for a certain amount of intensity over a certain amount of area and a given amount of time. If we express that, and we do by convention, express that as watt hours per square meter, we use a different term, irradiance. And this is a map of irradiance in the United States, averaging it annually and giving it by day. If you go to NREL online, you'll find any number of maps. You can get them for each month of the year. You can get them averaged over the year in a number of different ways. And of course, there are maps available for every country on Earth. And I'll give you the website where you can obtain that. They vary a little bit from map to map, but they come out pretty much the same. This map, we're located here in southeast Missouri in the center of the map. And what that gives us is a range by the color of 4.78 to 4.92 kilowatt hours per square meter. And that is averaged across a year, and that's an average number per day. And so it's pretty good for calculating our solar outcomes. We used 80 Rent-A-Solar 305 watt panels. Now the thing I want you to understand is you don't measure the panel. The only point that counts is the cells themselves. That is the area the irradiance or sunlight energy is falling on. The ReneSolar uses 72. They're 156 millimeters by 156 millimeters, and that gives me an area of 1,752,192 square millimeters, or 1.752 square meters. At 1.752 square meters, and let's pick the middle value here from our map of 4.85 kilowatt hours per day per square meter. One of those panels is going to generate 1.4972 kilowatt hours per day. It doesn't matter what the panel's rated. Two things matter, and one is the area and one is the efficiency with this calculation I'm giving you. You can get all balled up in efficiencies through your inverter and your panels and so forth, but you need the efficiency of the panel and the amount of actual area that's done, and this irradiance figure will get you closer than anything else. That 8.5 really kilowatt hours per day, let's round it off. Our panels, and this again from the data sheet on the ReneSolar panel, that's where I got the cell size and the number of cells per panel, but we also get a 15.5% efficiency, and we hope that they're advertising and listing that in Chinese fashion rather than American fashion, but we're hopeful for 15.5% efficiency. That is kind of at the start of the life of the panel, and just like the batteries, it will fade over a 20-year period, but we're going to start out at 15.5% efficiency, and that reduces that 8.5 kilowatt hours per day per panel down to 1.317 kilowatt hours per day when you calculate it at the 15.5% efficiency. Recall that we're selling some panels in the store. They're very different. Number one, they're light. You wouldn't permanently install them on your home, but they work good on RVs and golf carts and stuff because they're flexible and they're light. But one of the things that we have to have there, because it's kind of portable, is a greater efficiency. And those run between 20 and 22% efficient. They're kind of special solar panels. But it shows you where we can be in the near future on all solar panels. Bang for buck, I picked the ReneSolar 305 watt and at 15.5% efficiency. We wind up with 1.317 kilowatts hours per day per panel, and we have 80 of them on our roof, making up a nominal 24.4 kilowatt hour array. But as we can see here, 80 panels times 1.317 kilowatt hours per day, average across the year. You're going to get more in July, less in February. It's going to do me an average of 105.36 kilowatt hours per day for my roof. We have 30 days in a month. That's 3,161 kilowatt hours per month. Note that we, as I said, use about 4,200. So in installing a 24 kilowatt array at a cost of some $63,000, we're not even covering our electric bill. We run about 4,200 kilowatt hours per month here. And this is going to average, as best I can calculate, a little over 3,000 per month. 3,161 is what I've calculated here. Our summer rate is now 11.48 cents per kilowatt hour, and so we'll save $362.88 per month. Financially, that system on the roof, we paid $63,000 installed. That's somewhat ameliorated, fortunately. We just made it to the day by public law here in the state of Missouri the utilities have to give us a rebate for each DC watt that we install on the roof. And at the current rate is $2 per watt, which is very generous. It's actually currently $1.50. The final day to be in operation and filed happened to occur on June 30th of this year. And would you believe we postmarked our application June 30th? We're undoubtedly the last solar installation in Missouri to get the $2 per watt rebate. It'll be $1.50 per watt for the next year, and it goes down each year, much as Germany's FIT rate went down each year until it was terminated. And this terminates in 2020 at about 25 cents per watt. But it's quite a generous rebate. Understand this is not the largesse of Ameren UE. It's a public law that was enacted and they signed on to as part of an egregiously high rate increase. And so they're not giving us anything. But it is $48,800 that we'll receive. We've been talking to them. They've received the application. Everything is approved. In fact, we've had our new bidirectional meter installed and went operational on the solar system yesterday, officially. And so we're up and running. So we paid $63,000. We actually get a 30% federal tax credit on the whole amount, the $63,000, and that's amounts to $18,900. Again, that's a credit against tax, not a deduction, which is a pretty good deal. So if you add up our credits and our rebates, we get $67,700, and so we made $4,700 on the installation. That's somewhat offset in that we get to pay ordinary income tax on the $48,800 we received from Ameren UE. But it works out pretty even. And so we've basically installed a solar system for about zero net. And so I'm pretty pleased, even though it does not qualify, it does not cover all of our electric needs. Why didn't I just put in a bigger system? Well, we may. But right now, under this program, we were limited to 25 kilowatts maximum. And so this is what we put in to start with. We can always add to it at our own expense later, but of course, we won't get the rebate for that. It's 25 kilowatts per site forever. And so that's what we'll get, $362.88. So why would I go through all this for $360 a month? Well, there's some interest in having solar conceptually. I mean, we're in the business of attacking the environmental and economic problems inherent and solvable by electric vehicles and solar panels, and we're fascinated by them. But more importantly, in my word to our viewers, is things change, and you need to be prepared for the future. Understand that 3 years ago, our summer rate was 8 cents a kilowatt hour. And today, it's 11.48 cents per kilowatt hour. And they go back every year for another increase. The adoption of the electric vehicle is not going to reduce their demands for more. And in fact, as we empower the utilities, we, to some degree, exchange one feudal lord, the oil companies, for another, the utility companies. We actually had some choice where to buy gasoline from. We have very little choice in where to buy electricity from. And our main defense against that is basically the ability to generate our own. And the best, easiest way to do that is with photovoltaics. There is an approval process, but it pales compared to wind. And really, my initial experiments with plutonium enrichment and fissionable nuclear reactors led to a lot of angst here locally, and I was shut down pretty quickly and told we're not going to be doing that in Cape Girardeau. So nuclear is probably off the table, and so you're left with the home fuel cell from natural gas, which is even more expensive all the way around than solar is. And I think we'll see solar come down and get better. The key is actually not the price, it's the efficiency. As I said, these are 15.5% solar panels. When I go to 22%, all the numbers change and they get better a whole lot faster. And I do not see any reason why the continued increase in efficiency will slow or stop. There's no magic point this side of 100% that I know of that is a physical or natural barrier that we have to cross. There are a number of different materials to use and a number of different ways to use them, and they're working on that all the time. So hopefully in the future we'll see 20% become common, 30% be the new high, and then on to 40 and 50%. Probably within my lifetime we'll see a 50% solar panel, simply because now a market is generated for them, money's flowing, somebody comes up with a 50% panel, they're going to do very well for themselves. And so I expect to see a lot of investment in that area, even though it's fairly difficult research to get those efficiencies up. So I'm quite optimistic about the ability to have better panels for less money in the future. By the way, my 15 kilowatt system was not $63,000, but it was $275,000, and that was 16 years ago. And so the price is coming down very nicely. But I'm equally pessimistic that our utility rates will remain low. The Environmental Protection Agency, under the aegis of President Obama, has declared coal to be a no-no and basically legislated it out of existence without benefit of Congress or clergy. And there's a number of ways of approaching that. I'm not entirely against it. I think we should let coal go. But it's going to cause an increase in the cost of electricity to all of us, and actually not a small one. It'll triple it over the next 5 years. So whatever you're paying for electricity, if this coal ban sticks, you will see essentially a tripling of electric utility rates nationwide. They're kind of funny things. Here we're at 11.5%. California, they're often 30 cents, ironically because they use less electricity. You have to have the same number of trucks, same number of wires, the same infrastructure to operate a utility in California as you do in Missouri. But here, with the miracle of air conditioning and our unbelievably insufferable June, July, and August period, we use 5 or 6 times as much electricity as they do in California. And so our rate's much lower, but our net bill is much higher, particularly in the summer. And so that's the economics of utility generation are very, very interesting in a wide number of directions. There's a whole lot of swing thoughts in that golf game beyond what it might be readily apparent, the cost of generating electricity, which, by the way, right now I think the rate for, if I do happen to send any back, I only get the avoided cost of generation, which I think is up to about 2 cents in Missouri in the summertime now. per kilowatt hour. So it's okay for them to charge me 11.5, but it's if they're buying, it's really worth about 2 cents. I would note one other thing, and that is that in our latest bill of $577, there was $68, which was entirely taxes. The city of Cape Girardeau got $26. I'm not too sure what they did to deserve that, but the state of Missouri got that much again, and then the federal government got a smidge. And so over 10% of the bill was actually taxes. But again, they're based on the consumption. And in installing the solar, I cut my electricity in half, but I also cut the taxes in half. The other thing about that is, you might find it surprising, I actually think that the way out of a whole lot of things in this country, and the way to beyond full employment, actually a shortage of workers, would be to eliminate the payroll taxes entirely, including Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, income tax, the whole charade of 100 million people trotting around with this little piece of paper every April, trying to get money back from the government that they sent in earlier. It's impossibly archaic. It was stupid in 1911, but 103 years later, it's absolutely beyond the ken. This is madness. They could collect taxes much more easily, much more fairly, and from infinitely fewer points if they would tax gasoline, coal, natural gas, and electricity to the home and the residents, and I mean tax it quite hard. If they traded it off with no payroll taxes, you actually got to keep your paycheck. I think people would accept it. You can always block off the first 1,000 kilowatt hours as being freebies. I think the national average in a residence is 970 kilowatt hours per month. And so the poor, people in one-bedroom apartments would never see this. But of course, Apple Computer would pay a pretty penny for theirs, and so would Tesla. And so I would advocate taxing energy instead of income. Maybe we'd get more income and use less energy, but it would set off an industrial typhoon of creativity and innovation, of people coming up with ways to save on your electricity and energy use, mostly to avoid the taxes. And it would be essentially full employment for America, going out for the next generation. People coming up with ways to shave a few watt hours from the bill, and thus the onerous energy tax. And so I think that would be a marvelous idea, and I would favor the $5 a gallon on the gasoline too. But also, and I'm sure you find this surprising as an electric car advocate, that I would advocate a heavy taxation of the electricity. We could collect from the gas stations and the utility companies and leave the rest of the people alone, to not have to go through this ridiculous thing with a tax return, and not have to, and it would also kind of take out the voluntary nature of our tax structure that is leading to a whole lot of people not paying their taxes, because after all, the IRS is defrauding the American people, the Veterans Administration, the FDA, the president's established it's okay to lie, and so it almost becomes a constitutional obligation to avoid paying just and appropriate taxes. In other words, the Indians are wandering off the reservation. The voluntary tax structure is breaking down. And I would advocate a much simpler, much more direct tax system that was much more difficult to cheat, and have lower taxes, but all of them collected, and collected with a lot less expense, without an army of armed IRS people out there badgering people over their politics. kilowatt hours don't really have much in the way of politics. And so I think this would be the way to go in tax structure. But enough of that. I just wanted to share with you some chicken scratch calculations on solar and how to do that. And it starts with a National Renewable Energy Laboratory irradiance map. That gives you your best data for what's falling on your roof, and from there you calculate how much of it you can recover. Stay with us.
Making electric boats isn't just making boats cleaner, it's making boats better. Being out in an electric boat means you can enjoy the environment you're in. You are so much more immersed in the sound and the experience of the aquatic life, of the water, of the wind, than you would otherwise be. And it really gives you a new level of understanding and enjoyment of that generally beautiful nature area you've gone into to enjoy yourself. What an electric motor does is that it gives you all this power in a vibrationless, soundless way. A well-thought-out, well-designed system has 100% of the torque available all the time. You don't have to build up to it, you have it. So when you pump the throttle, you are out there and your whole shot is amazing. It takes your center of gravity right out from under you, and it gives people that what they call the EV grin. You just start laughing, you can't help it. You're so conditioned to think that you first need vibration, then need noise, and then you start going somewhere. And in this case, your center of gravity just shoots right out from under you. And it's a wonderful feeling. You can still talk to each other. You're hearing the sound of the water and the wind and the waves instead of just hearing engine noise and vibrations. And it gives you really a chance to be in tune with that nature that you're actually out there to enjoy. Plus, not having to visit the pump is actually a great thing. Your battery will eat electricity from any source that you provide. I mean, who loves sitting around on your knees with a jerry can? We have better control over the boat. We have a better experience while we're out driving. Plus, we also have the knowledge that we're part of new technology. It is just way cool. Our mission is to make beautiful, fast, and fun electric boats. There's nothing more fun than taking these new technological developments and putting them into classic designs and having people shoot away with a big smile and an EV grin.
So I thought I'd share some numbers with them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Basically,
Yep.
we spent $63,000.
Yep.
We got $67,700 back. And,
Yes.
Well, we will with the tax credit. Of course, we have to have more money coming in than we have going out to have income to have a tax
To use
credit.
the tax credit.
Hopefully, the tax credit is something you can carry forward. I don't know.
I don't know. If not, we might be able
to.
to sell it.
There you go. And
For beer money.
But then we have ordinary income on the 48.8, and
Yes.
so maybe that'll get us up enough where we have a tax to have a credit
To go
against.
to apply some of the credit, yeah.
But in any event, we have a 24 kilowatt plant up, and as I said in the presentation, and as you and I have discussed, my bet is since 3 years ago we were paying 8 cents in the
Yes,
summer.
I know.
And
Yeah.
now we're paying 11.48 in the
Yes.
summer. And with this crackdown on coal and the ongoing concern about global warming, I'm sorry, we're going to be at 50 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yeah, that's
here
what we have
in
50 cents a kilowatt
5
hour or
years.
something. Yeah, pretty
And
soon.
So we're getting ready for it, and it's interesting. They had interesting statistic. By the end of 2012, they had installed more solar in 2012 in the United States than they did from 79 through the end of 2011.
Really? In 1 year, they did more than they did in
Well,
what?
it gets better.
What?
In 2013,
Yeah.
they did more than they had in 79 through the end of 2012.
Oh, man.
This is an adoption curve that
It's-
was going like this.
Yeah, now it's going straight up. Yeah.
Now, I had installed in 1998 a 15 kilowatt system.
Right, I remember
in
that
Denver
one, yeah.
At my home. That was at that time the largest photovoltaic array residential in the world. But it was over $275,000.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was
This
expensive.
is 63, and as the price comes down, and more importantly, the efficiency needs to go up.
Yes, right. Yeah, a lot.
But that gets
That's okay.
in our system now. We can add to that at our own expense,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and so I expect to double that array over the next year or two.
Okay.
But we'll probably get some deals on some panels, maybe from China.
Yeah.
And you and me get up on the roof and do it ourselves.
Or else we'll yell a lot of people up there.
Well, yeah.
We'll hover
Well,
over
well,
them.
well-
we won't have to go up. We'll just hover with the
Yeah,
copter,
just
and we'll just tell them
supervise
with a
the
bullhorn, with a
and
helicopter and a
talk to 'em
bullhorn.
on the cell phone, and get a bunch of kids up there.
That's
and,
right. There you go.
add those.
I like that better.
And so that'll work fine. The DOPPelcabling.
Yes.
Let's take a look.
Okay.
Not much progress, but I'll show you what we got going.
Yeah.
Well, Brain, when last we spoke, I
Yes.
gave you a check for $3,000 and my Doppelcabin, my 1990 Volkswagen, very unusual because of the chicken tax, pickup truck.
Yes, that's right. The chicken
And you were going to
tax.
have it painted.
Yeah.
And I kind of like what I'm seeing, but it's like not done. We got new rubber, new glass, new windshield,
We have a new windshield. Yep.
and a new headliner partly put in.
It is.
Actually, there's some tools hanging from it in there.
Yeah, isn't that nice? They gave us
Little
a
plastic,
couple plastic
things.
spatulas.
And the rest of it is yellow. It looks like a real thin coat. Was this finished?
I mean, in my estimation, no, it's not finished.
And-
It's not completed. Anyway.
It's not completed. The
Yes.
guy basically gave it back to us and said his compressor blew up, his wife left him, and something about his dog, and he couldn't finish it.
Yeah, and the horse died.
And the horse
The
died.
horse, and then country music started playing, and then
Yeah, and we
everything
couldn't-
just went to
couldn't
hell.
handle it, so
yeah.
we just took it back.
Yeah, yeah.
What are we going to do with a more or less painted, but not really? It's kind of thin in places.
Yeah, there's some thin spots on here.
It is yellow.
It is, and it's
I'll grant you that.
It's that same. I guess that's that Subaru yellow that we used last time. I think on the thing. It's the same
I
thing.
had one of our viewers actually. He bought one of your bobblehead dolls.
All right.
Send me a Brian. He bought a Brian Notor bobblehead doll, and a lot of people, more people are saying all the time, you look just like Elon Musk.
Really? Okay. But kind of like looking like your dog after you hang out a long time, you know.
Well, I guess with the head nodding up and down, it's kind of hard to tell who you look.
I know exactly.
So,
Blurry. It's awfully blurry.
this guy sends me a photograph of a Tesla Model S. This is a $100,000 car. He had painted for like $400 worth of paint in plasti-DIP.
That's what you told me. The plasti-DIP
Now,
experience.
his
huh?
story was that you paint your car in plasti-DIP and you just peel it off at any time and it perfectly preserves the paint underneath.
Interesting.
And so I get online and I'm finding dip my car all over the internet. And people doing dips on their car. And I asked Brian to look into it. And what did you find?
Well, we found a fella, Richard, in Springfield, Missouri, actually, that has a company that is called, I believe, Mobile Spray Services.
Mobile spray service.
Yeah, and he actually can paint a car in plasti-DIP, and he actually will do house calls.
Huh. So he'll come over here, which is a couple hundred miles from
Yes.
Springfield,
From Springfield, yes.
and do our DOKKA.
Yes, in fact, I have him scheduled for the week of the 28th of July.
And he's going to do it in submarine yellow pearl
Yes, that's the color that he suggested because I guess all of them aren't available in the gallon sizes, which what he needs to spray
I
this.
wanted to blaze yellow, but it
I
doesn't
think
come in
a spray can would have been a little tough.
And but I want the bed liner on the bed, and he's going to do that.
He does all that. He does spray in bed liners and all
And
that
then I
stuff.
want bumpers and the grill flat black.
We're going to bring flat black to do the bumpers and grill.
Well, I think it would look really good. I like what I'm hearing. Apparently, you spray on, dip it,
Yes.
and if you get a scratch or something, they have a solvent that you rub on and it remelts it.
And just kind of heals it. It's self-healing.
kinda heals it.
Self-healing.
It's not really UV resistant. It's going to fade after a few years.
Yeah.
But you can just peel it off and put on another one. The kits, I don't know. I mean, we're paying $1,000 for him to do it, which is a lot less than an automotive paint job.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
automotive paints have just gotten to be phenomenally expensive.
Yeah.
And and they get scratched up anyway. So we put a rubber coat on it. 3 years go by, we put another one.
Sure.
You know, I mean, the kit to do it, and I think we could, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna let this guy do it.
Yeah,
for
he probably knows how
$1,000.
to. He probably knows how to tape good and do stuff like that.
Well, he
yeah.
can show us how to do it. And we can redo it later.
Yeah, yeah.
And get it all taped off nice and so forth, and then we'll spray it with Dip It and submarine yellow, and it'll be rubber covered, and I guess that'll insulate it.
Yeah, I was going to say it'll probably be insulated then.
Yeah, right. Then we won't be electrocuted.
That's right.
When we
No
do
metal.
it.
That's right.
Tim, what was his name? Maring
Maring, yes.
came down and worked for us for a week, and I thought he was joining us. He found a lot about the Dokka he wanted to replace with new parts.
Oh, okay. And we needed some.
And in fact, he found them online and was going to buy them for us wholesale, but then he wanted to mark it up and sell them to us while I'm paying him a salary. And we kind of fell out over that.
Okay.
I paid retail for the parts, but we have them all now, and it's mostly bearings and things for the running
Oh,
gear.
when we're going to redo all
so
that.
we want the Dip It guys coming the 28th of July. We'll do some work in the interim on the bearings and install the four-wheel disc brakes
Yeah,
that
that came with
Mr.
our deal.
Hick provided with the sale, and get a running gear in order, and we'll get it sprayed with Dip It, and then we can start installation of the batteries, the Nissan Leaf modules that we're going to use
Sure.
on this, and I guess a Siemens, and either or both the Reinhardt and the Smart Drive. I want to use this as a test bed to go back and forth between the two of those.
Okay. Oh, between the Scott?
The Scott Drive
and the Reinhardt.
Drive.
Nice. Okay.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
And this will be a test bed using a Siemens. We'll put one of the UQMs in the other thing so we can race them.
Okay, cool. We're racing things. That's it.
UQM against the Siemens
That's
and
right,
see
that's right.
who's got the stuff.
That's right. The thing-y thing.
Thingy thing. So that's the plan on the Dokka. We're going to continue our rust and renovation. He did ameliorate the rust and get a coat of paint on it, which we can use as a primer. And then I want to dip it.
There we go. Dip
And
it good.
And I think it'll look well. I'm looking at the tires and wheels, which I really liked at first, and I don't at all now. We need new wheels and good tires. And somebody told me about a new low rolling resistance tire. French tire company.
Michelin?
No,
Uh,
it's a, and we're going to try it. It's a new
a new one. Okay. All right.
It's the Intercontinental Eco.
Electromobility is no longer just a dream. More and more car manufacturers are producing fuel-efficient vehicles powered by electric motors. And to make efficient use of resources, we need new approaches to design and production. As one of the world's leading automotive suppliers, Continental is involved in a range of innovative new approaches to tyre development. The Conti E-Contact concept is narrower and larger than conventional tyres. 20-inch wheels are ideal for the latest generation electric and hybrid vehicles because they offer the greatest energy-saving potential. But most electric vehicles still use much smaller wheels. Most manufacturers of hybrid vehicles currently use 17 or 18-inch tyre sizes. Our new generation advanced Conti E-Contact is now available in these sizes. It uses new technologies, materials and processes to make it the first true high-tech specialist summer tyre to be awarded the EU tyre label's highest class A rating for both rolling resistance and wet grip. It also features good performance characteristics across a wide range of other criteria. The green chili rubber compound enables us to combine maximum grip with very low rolling resistance and to offer the highest levels of safety and handling. With the new Hydro Sipes, the profile is designed for optimal water dispersion, leading to excellent wet braking performance. The flexible and aerodynamic AeroFlex sidewalls help to reduce the rolling resistance even further. For hybrid and electric vehicles, minimizing tyre noise is another key consideration. Our Conti Silent technology leads to noticeably reduced interior noise. Hybrid vehicles place specific demands on tyres, and it's crucial that the tyres have efficient rolling performance. On the other hand, safety is also an important consideration. A customer should be as safe when driving a hybrid vehicle as they would be when driving a conventional vehicle, with the same short braking distances. And for full hybrid vehicles that can also operate on just battery power, rolling noise has other implications at low speeds than for a vehicle with a conventional engine. Because there's no noise from a combustion engine, the tyres need to be extra quiet. Continental has supported developments in electric and hybrid vehicles right from the start. Our new Conti E-Contact range now includes 17 and 18-inch versions of optimized tyres with innovative premium technology for use with vehicles such as the Citroën DS5 Hybrid and the Volkswagen Touareg Hybrid. The use of completely new materials means that this new generation tyre is the first Continental summer tyre to be awarded the EU tyre label's highest class A rating for both wet grip and rolling resistance. A real high-tech specialist summer tyre from Continental, developed by our tyre experts in Hanover.
And I'll cure my Alzheimer's, look it up and print it across the screen so you can see it. But we'll put some new shoes on this thing and maybe some new wheels, and I think we'll start to style here a little bit. Probably a roof rack with solar panels.
Okay, cool.
And we'll do this one up. It'll be fun.
Nice. Yeah, be a good project.
Be a fun ride and very unusual.
Absolutely.
Stay with us. That's going to be a fun vehicle.
Yep, plasti-DIP.
Plasti-DIP. Who'd have thunk it?
Plastic. I didn't know they could spray plasti-DIP on a car.
To my sense of humor.
It is pretty funny, actually.
My only regret is they have a plasti-DIP yellow blaze that only comes in spray.
It only comes in the spray cans.
They don't do it by the gallon. Would you call plasti-DIP and find
and just
out
verify?
Why that
Yeah,
is?
and I'll verify that just to make sure.
Ask them if they'd make a special dispensation.
Yeah, could we just get a few gallons of it?
Yeah, right, of the blaze.
Blaze.
I like loud yellow.
Yes.
But that's going to be a fun vehicle.
Yeah.
And a very useful one around here. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the little
like our little van.
E-Transit
Yeah,
Connect,
right. Yeah.
You know,
With a truck
be able
bed.
to throw stuff in the back and go.
Yep.
And I want a black truck bed and yellow and black appointments, and I think it's going to be a darling vehicle. Brian's already got an interior done for it somewhere.
Yeah, it's in the back.
In
Yeah,
the back somewhere.
Yeah, we did it.
I haven't really looked at it, but I hope
and
it's gorgeous.
It's black and like the color of that one chair, the tan of the chair. So we got black and that. It's almost like a yellowish kind of. Yeah, it looks pretty neat.
I mentioned Jeff Southern.
Yes.
He's come up, and we're confabbing about boats.
Oh, cool. Well, we're gonna have a boat conference here this afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take a look at
All right.
what we found. I'm here with Jeff Southern of Kennesaw, Georgia. Jeff, thanks for coming up.
No problem.
We need some adult supervision.
Okay.
When did you start playing with boats?
I guess first time I ever modified a boat, I was 10 years old, 14-foot John boat with a 12 horsepower Wizard motor from Sears on it.
Uh-huh.
We put a casting deck on it and made a fishing boat out of it.
When did you first do an electric?
First electric was actually in 1999. That was the first time I built an electric outboard, a little 2-horse electric outboard with a little Scott electric motor on it. Ran 36 volts DC, of course lead batteries back then. Pushed my little 17-foot boat about 4 miles an hour. So that was my first electric boat, was the little electric outboard.
But you actually got it at one point where you were kind of making these for guys.
I built a little bit more powerful outboard. I took the Briggs & Stratton outboard and took the power head off of it, sold it on eBay, and then put their Briggs & Stratton E-Tech motor, which was a lawnmower motor for their electric lawnmowers, put that on there, ran it at 48 volts with a little Curtis controller. And it made about a little over 5 horsepower, so it would push a boat 7-8 miles an hour. In a displacement mode. You couldn't really plane a boat because they're just too heavy batteries. Lead acid batteries too heavy back then. But much more pleasurable with a 7 or 8 mile per hour boat tootling around your fishing lake than a 4 mile an hour trolling motor speed.
Those E-Techs are still out there.
The design was actually from a French company called Lynch. Designed it. Briggs & Stratton licensed that technology from Lynch. The technology actually is the brush cage, instead of being round, is actually flat. There's 8 brushes that go around this way in the motor. So it's a very unusual design. And then Briggs & Stratton got the bright idea that since I was selling enough of those, they decided we can make some money doing this. And to be honest, I kept trying to explain to them that if I sell 10 a month, I'm very happy. If they sell 10 a month, it's a miserable failure.
Right.
I just don't think at the time there was ever a big market because the batteries just weren't there.
Well, yeah.
The lead acid batteries would
This
last
is
a couple of years.
we ran into on the internet. Anything can be scaled up. Nothing can be scaled down.
Right.
In other words, if you got a mom and pop shop and a neighbor kid, and they get to where they're doing 1,000 of them,
Right. Doesn't work.
a month, it's like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Right.
If you go sink $10 million in it, you're doing 1,000 a month. It's like, well, this really sucks.
Well, Briggs held in there for, I think, 3 years. They produced them. They gave me some discounts on some motors, so I was actually a Briggs distributor for a little while selling their motors, in addition to the ones that I had built. I probably built about 25 or 30 of them, I think, before Briggs sort of took it over. Obviously, it made no sense to try to compete with them since I was using all their parts to do it with. I think
if they can do all the hard work and you mark it up and sell it anyway.
I think the Parson Marine motors is what came out of all that. I think the ones that are still sold today under the Parson Marine name were the original designs of the Briggs, where it came from, the lineage. So they're still sort of out there.
Still sort of out there banging around. What's you're kind of a fisherman. You've been known to beat the lake to a froth and turn it into suds, trying to whip up some fish.
Right.
What's going on with lakes across America and the outboards? And
in Georgia,
noise
it's a big deal. There's 5 electric-only lakes in my area that are drinking water only. They do not allow gas engines to be on the boat, period. Also, there's a lot of new rules on some of the larger lakes about noise. They don't want the big, loud outboards or the big, 2-cycle jet skis. So a lot of lakes have banned 2-stroke motors.
Wow.
Because of the, 2-stroke, I don't know if you know it or not, but it just puts raw gas and fuel and oil right into the lake.
It has the slick.
Yeah, you see an oil
it.
slick coming behind the boat there. So I think it's not too long into the future where they're going to mandate all 4-strokes on all waterways. I think that's going to happen. Maybe some diesels allowed in there because they're considered 4-strokes, but I really think it's going to happen. I think electric boats are going to be the future for waterways. Might be 10 years, 20 years. I don't know when it's going to be, but it's going to happen at some point just because of the pollution and noise.
Now, when I first was looking at Aristocrafts, Jeff actually volunteered to go up to the Atlanta Boat Works it's not in Atlanta, but
It's in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Alpharetta. And what did you find there?
Found the son and the grandson of the guy that started the boat business, and they actually have a big warehouse there. They have every model of every boat they've ever made. There's some really cool stuff in there. Their original boat, believe it or not, was a fishing boat.
Yes, I was aware of that.
Sold in downtown Atlanta.
He came back from war, couldn't get a job, so started making fishing boats.
Making fishing boats. They do beautiful work. These guys are craftsmen. They're not. I don't really consider them just your average boat builder. These guys build high quality craftsmanship into their boats. Take a lot of family pride in them. So I was very impressed.
The son and the grandson.
Yeah,
Which one's Scott?
Scott is the son, I believe. The grandson, excuse me.
Okay.
I think Scott's the grandson. I may have their names backwards,
that's
so
who
don't
I've
quote me on
been-
that. But I
been
think
hearing
Scott's
from.
the grandson.
Okay.
But they've sort of revived the boat. I think they've seen a revival that people want this classic style in a modern boat. And they do stick to tradition. These are wooden boats. A lot of people have gone away from wooden boats because, quite frankly, it's just easier to pop something in a mold than it is to craft this wood. I mean, all this stuff has to be cut, bent, shaped, and laminated together. So I think
That's not really the problem for me. What attracted me to this boat, I have a 1950 Chris Craft, what do you call it, runabout. But it's a lap board, walnut board boat, mahogany boat.
yes, sir.
And
Beautiful boats.
you have to swell them up to even put them in the water.
They keep them from leaking.
And they leak. And
Yeah, this one won't leak.
the one I had was somebody got to it for me, and they had epoxied the bottom. And I've heard various stories on how that works, but
It's commonly done just to try to stop the leaks. Not the correct way to do it, of course, but that is what people do.
well, not only the correct way, but apparently then it kind of locks water in, and the boat
Rots
just
the
keeps
wood from the
getting-
inside out.
getting heavier and heavier, and so forth. This is actually it's high grade plywood, I'm sure, but
It's marine, OG plywood.
a plywood boat, and so we don't have some of those issues.
And this is all encased in epoxy too. So
Sure.
this is not your old varnish. This is a high grade epoxy that's on these boats.
Okay. And but they had a pretty nice shop there, huh?
Oh yeah, really it's more of a wooden shop, because they make wood boats. So you got the old woodworking equipment. They have, I believe they can do their own interiors and stuff as well. They have some big equipment there. Mainly just 2 or 3 guys working away, but they have a beautiful shop. I fell in love with the boat when I saw the one that they were building at the time. Just great work, great craftsmanship. And I think they really sold a lot of these down in Florida, which was where one of their biggest areas of selling down there. The guys that had the yachts and stuff, Florida has these these speed controlled canals down there, the intercoastal waterway, and these were very popular in that.
Well, I see the ultimate use, maybe with a couple of hooks on it, as a davitable dinghy for a larger sailing
Sure.
yacht. Something over 50 feet, maybe.
Showing up at cans in this boat to the dock.
Yeah, I mean, well, they show up sailing in all green, and then drop the 2-stroke
Right.
outboard, into the water, and immediately start making a slick and a bunch of noise. That's not really the entrance you want to make.
Well, also it's pretty.
Well,
It's got to be pretty. I mean, you can get in with a Zodiac with a little electric motor on it, but you're just not going to quite make the presence when you show up.
Exactly. So, but or just like really the picture in my mind is the Porsche 356 Speedster, but wet.
Right.
Same trick. Your wife, the bottle of wine, the whole thing.
Exactly. Like honest commercial.
About like Anna's commercial.
Right.
And in fact, I had the beginning of my relationship with Anna was, here's the magic of the Speedster, and I'm just going to make this up because I haven't tried it, but I would bet that if we get this done, and I take the wife out in it, and we cruise around in the evening, and not actually at 40, more like 10.
10, yeah, puttering around.
And we drink a couple bottles of wine and see some scenery and get back to the house. I'll get lucky.
Reasonable.
I got a reasonable shot at it.
Well, a lot of the
Don't
gentlemen.
ask me how I know these.
A lot of gentlemen at Altoona cruise around in these type boats, and they usually have their secretaries or their nieces with them. So, so yeah, I'll have to agree.
So, well, that's so the drivetrain, of course, a little bit unusual. Usually, this boat is done with an outboard. I mean,
Correct.
that's
They
their,
do build them with inboards as well.
I saw one picture ever.
Now they do build them with inboards, but they do traditionally use the belt drive inboards that they do. So the motor is actually mounted back there in the belt drive systems. He did show me a couple of their designs that have that. As a matter of fact, the whole rear section of this boat, this little rectangular section here, they can put whatever drive you want. Obviously, you have a jet drive here. They can put a direct shaft inboard, or you can put a belt drive inboard outboard, and then of course they do have the design for the outboard motor.
Well, all the eBay specimens I saw were outboards, and then they had one gallery picture of this covered up.
I believe they have built a few inboards. I believe. I think they did do one jet before.
Yes,
Okay.
they have.
And the other one,
yeah, I think
was,
they were showing you because that was what I was inquiring
Right.
about. I don't want the big black thing in the back. That's not. It kind of.
You're not redneck enough for that.
To me, it kind of ruins the gorgeous lines of the boat, and then you have this trailer of trash in the back. That doesn't work for me. And so the concept here, there's a basic disconnect between electric and jet pumps. The jet pumps are a big efficiency penalty,
Correct.
and we're all about efficiency. But what do I get? I think the jet pump will be quieter than a prop. Is that true or not?
Yes, it'll definitely be a little quieter than a prop.
Would it have lower vibration?
Probably not, because they do tend to run at higher RPM. So I don't know. I mean, I'm only basing it on jet skis and outboards and inboards, but I don't really know.
My
if it's true.
jet ski is so high RPM that I don't think of it as vibration.
Right,
It's almost like silky smooth.
Right.
But lower RPM is what I associate with vibration. And of course, there's the safety issue. And so.
No prop to cut you up back there.
Well, and we do a lot of river stuff, and so it's very common to wind up fishing around under the boat trying to get all the pieces and having to repair it and getting dragged off the river.
My mom's lake place, the
The
lake's
broken-
very shallow, and the jets are the #1 boat on that lake just because people get tired of hitting stones.
Right. Well, that's the thing. An outboard can be a thing, but the center lines are just death. It just tears them up.
Correct. In shallow waters, obstacles in the water, you're going to tear up the direct drive more than you will anything else, because they're not very strong. They just have one little bearing holding that shaft out there.
Right.
You've seen Anna's boat. There's just one downrigger and a bearing and a prop.
Well, you got the box, and then you got one shaft bearing out there,
Right.
stuck out in the water.
That's
and,
it.
And then this prop flopping around, and
I think you're going to lose probably 20 to 30%. I don't know the exact number. The new variable pitch on the pumps definitely helps. So it'll be interesting to see what type. Hard to compare efficiency because we don't have a prop version to compare it to, but
well, actually, we kind of will have.
Right.
We're going to have the right flyer, aluminum,
right, that'd be pretty comparable.
and it'll be 15.5 feet and a center line prop. Right.
And this boat's going to be able to carry battery weight a little better than that narrower boat, so should be a fair comparison. Not 100%, but close enough.
I think it'll be an interesting one.
Oh, yes. I believe this boat will be probably a little bit slower than Anna's just because props tend to be a little faster.
Sure.
But I don't think it'll be much. I don't think we're talking 10 miles an hour. You might be talking 3, 4, 5 miles an hour difference. The efficiency will be obviously the biggest difference, how fast we drain the battery pack down.
Well, that's an issue. The other issue being how many batteries you can buy and stuff into a boat. And that's so we were talking about the drivetrain. I had kind of pictured the motor up over the pump and a cog belt and so forth.
Sure.
Jeff was describing quite a horror of bearings and seals and boxes and so forth that got fairly elaborate.
Well, you can't see it from the video here, but the shaft can't take any loading radially on the shaft, so it has to be completely supported. So you're going to have to build an outboard bearing. So on the bottom, you'll have to have 2 bearings on the bottom and 2 bearings on the top minimum. And then bearings in the boats have to have seals. So now you got to have a seal plate and properly seal the bearings up. So you have to take that into consideration. It's just more mechanics. Doesn't mean it won't work. I think the general idea is correct. Being able to change the gear ratio is nice. But you're much more complicated, and you do wind up with the motor weight higher in the boat, which makes it a little less stable. This is a very stable boat, so I don't really think that's the issue. It's just an inline drive shaft is always the simplest design. That's how they do them in the jet skis.
I'm kind of a fan of Joaquin's Razor. If that's the simplest design, it's 99 times out of 100. It's
the best design. I've been an engineer for about 40 years now, it seems like, and it's every time I go complicated, it never quite seems to work out the way I had it in my mind to start with. So
these OEM cars, I watched a guy take a Leaf drivetrain apart, and just the top box was mostly charger and contactors for to get down to the inverter.
Right.
And he spent 25 minutes on YouTube.
Pulling
And
parts.
he wasn't getting through it yet. And I'm thinking, who in the world would do all that to do what they're doing there?
I guess they have to justify everybody's salary there as an engineer, so they get to design something.
I think they've hired a bunch of engineers, and they have to do something,
Right.
because it's just seemed like overkill.
Well, I grew up as a shop rat. I started working in machine shops when I was 14, so I think the older guys in the machine shop sort of beat it into my head, simpler typically works better. So when I became an engineer at that facility, they had pretty much beat me into submission by that point, so I tried to design the simplest design that would do the job.
Those guys' philosophy pretty much holds true right up through intercontinental multiple targetable reentry vehicles.
Think so?
It's still the Joaquin's Razor. So we'll go with the that. You only live about 30 miles from Alpharetta. Originally, we were kind of going to do this down here. I got the boat, and you were busy washing your hair that day.
Yeah, it just happened to hit the build at the wrong time. My business is usually seasonal. We're very busy in the early winter and early spring. And then the fishing kind of kicks in, and I love to fish. And so didn't quite get over there. But, I wish I had been able to get a hold of it before, obviously, it made it all the way to Cape up here. But we can take care of it.
Okay.
We'll figure out what works.
We are so deep in projects, and I so admire what you did on the VW thing, which my thing will kick your thing's ass.
It will now.
Let me assure you.
I'm pretty sure it will.
But it's not ever going to be as pretty as your thing.
Yeah.
And this boat, actually, I've already given up on super fast because we went with a jet pump. I kind of want it to be pretty.
I agree. We got to look nice down in here. I think a nice, billet aluminum cradle to hold the motor. Even if we go with the belt drive, a billet aluminum belt drive housing and system. You got to make it pretty. Maybe I do have a CNC machine, so maybe I can engrave EVTV somewhere in there.
Yeah. Bling counts.
Bling counts.
Bling counts and clean counts, and I do admire what you did in there, I'm going to have to, I guess, get you a video camera.
Yeah, I'm not the best video person in the world,
Well, you're just,
unfortunately.
I heard that from Anna, and it's just a little bit of a learning curve, but he's doing some
Anna's
great
really,
stuff
he's
now.
really doing great with his videos now. I've been very impressed with him.
Well, I think you will be too by the time we get done with you.
Either that or my wife maybe will be. Maybe enlist her help for video, and that way I don't have to worry about it.
It might be, you do seem to have a need for maybe a third hand sometimes when you're videoing.
Well, she likes to order me around anyway, so that would be right up something
She'd
she
be
would
a
enjoy
great director,
anyway.
yeah.
Right.
Well, you're great on camera. We just need to get you one.
Well, I'll figure out a camera. So I've been talking with Jehu out there to what's the best camera to get, and he's bombarded me with so many options. I'm not really sure exactly which is the right one now. So.
You know, some guys know too much about a thing.
He knows everything about video cameras as near as I can tell.
I believe he does. And sometimes that's too much. Canon and Vixia. That's the only thing you need to know, really. And Sennheiser microphones. I'm going to kind of kick this one to you. Then we've got GIA project, a DOKKA project, and we got too many projects and are making too little headway. And I've been off on a lot of Arduino software and stuff for days.
You're
at
off
a
in the
time.
Jeff Q hail, basically.
It's actually very pleasant for me, and I am actually very exhilarated over the outcome.
Oh, it's a beautiful little.
And I'm going to take you and
control.
let you drive the thing as soon as we shut this down. We've already created the easiest to configure drive system in the world, and either I'm just getting lucky or something, because about the third whack and the car feels great to me.
Nice.
And I'm a big fan of the HPVS stuff, but I would tune, and I could do the same thing, but it took 60 shots.
Right.
And I'm hitting it on the third whack with the JivQ.
You guys did a great job on it. No doubt about it.
If we can get this, I got the UQM working, but then I had to go back and sort of blend it in with the rest of the JivQ stuff. And Colin's doing some great things with the Elm 327 and OBD2. And
Kind of nice to have a really good coder handy.
It is. And when he busted that mite on the UQM, I almost fell out.
Sure.
It's and it took him 4 or 5 weeks, but then here's 8 lines of code, and I think this will do it.
Right.
And the next day he sent me 8 different ones, and by the third day it was over.
It was working, yeah.
It just works. And
Yeah, it's a shame people
one
don't
of
just...
the directors of engineering from Coda, of course that's not what he does now, came and wanted the code.
Interesting. He didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, he had one of the motors, and he couldn't remember who did that, and they had lost the documentation and didn't know how to do that themselves.
It doesn't surprise me.
And I mean, you get into some weird things with this.
Yeah, you buy stuff wholesale. You can't always get the perfect documentation to go along with it.
Well, that's true.
But they're great little motors. I think they'll be great in this boat.
I do too. I think that combination of that motor and these new batteries, I think, plows a little bit of new ground in electric
I
boats.
think you're right. I know people don't always pick up when you say it's a smaller volume. It's significantly smaller volume. That's what makes
It's like 60% of the volume.
right, and that makes a huge difference in a boat. I mean,
It does in a car, Jeff.
yeah.
We don't fight weight very hard,
But volume.
once in a while, some oversprings or something, coilovers. One time on the Mini Cooper, now we had it really laden down with batteries,
right,
and it
little dragon.
We actually had springs specially made for the Mini Cooper Clubman. But we don't fight weight very much. But I get beat by 1/32 of an inch all the time.
Always do.
And trying to figure out a way to get 12 pounds of potatoes in a 10-pound sack seems to be my adult life here recently. And when they drop a battery on me that's 60% of the size, I wouldn't care if it was 4 times the weight.
Right. But being lighter helps too. So.
Well, being lightly is goodly, but my problem is always designing the boxes and getting them in the car and getting as many as I need to get
Well, you know,
the range of them.
I've always wanted a truck that could tow a little boat like this with a 150, 200 mile range. Well, you could probably do it with 100 cab 180s. It's 1,200 pounds.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I always wanted an 8-ton pickup truck the size of a Ford Ranger.
But you take the new little 80s, 200 of those, you're talking under 1,000 pounds, 800 and something pounds.
Yeah,
So big difference.
yeah. Well, I think with these Cam 80s, we could well be 480 pounds and 335 volts and drive it.
And enough amp hours to have some fun.
Well, it's see, you need less amp hours when you have higher voltage, and so these AC systems have kind of moved us up the street.
Just slide the scale up one way or the other. Then.
Right, and so an 80 starts to look big at 350 volts, where it's inadequate at 180 volts or something.
Sure.
120 volts.
I don't even think they could put out enough amperes to drive my little things at 650 amps.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
It'd be tight. It'd be right at its limit.
Well, now this Cam series can't.
They can't actually do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, they can drive it, but it's not. You're not going to have the range. You got 180s in there, right? Yeah,
right.
Well,
Yeah, I get solid 70, 80 miles, no problem.
well, my thing, I have the 60s, and I can get over 60 miles
So
out of it.
you're less than half the battery amp hours, but the voltage has got you so that your range is pretty similar to mine.
Well, it is, because we're up at 335 volts.
Right.
And a
And a lot more
kilowatt-hour,
power.
both of the things count. And my God, if I put 300 amps on a Siemens motor, I'd be in
Break a
Scott
gearbox.
City, not Cape Girardeau.
Well, I have successfully shattered a gear at only 80 horsepower, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you did have a transmission issue. How'd that come out?
It came out great once I had them put a hardened steel gear in there instead of the press-centered gear.
That's, we start with those.
I would now.
We always get the hardened gears and the welded shafts.
It was one thing.
And what is it, Brian? The side covers that are.
The super differential and the side covers.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Get it, trust me.
We've always steered away from the $800 transmission, and I'd like to steer away from the $3,500 ones and in the $2,000 range on the.
Now, this one wound up costing me close to $2,000 because I had to send it back and get them to put a different set of gears in it. But it is what it is.
Now, what rack and pinion are you running in?
I do run the 344.
That's exactly where we go.
Yeah, I think you had advised me on that, and that's definitely right. It tops out at 30 miles an hour in first gear, which is about right. 40, 45 in second, and so it's perfect. Drive around in third most of the
the
time.
388 first gear it tops out at about 8 miles an hour.
Right, yeah. You just leave it in second at that point.
Right. Well, I rarely use first anyway, but loading or up a hill or something like that.
Well, my driveway's like this from the rear garage.
Well, there
so
you
it's-
go. Then that'd be a good time to have first.
I typically use first mostly for reverse, actually. I just pop my little screen, I can pop the reverse. I'll back it up, and then I just pop the thing and take off because it's in first gear anyway.
All right. So now I need this here for EVCON.
That's going to be the tight spot. It's going to be getting this thing back up here. I may be able to make, if we go with the saddle, I may be able to make your saddle and be able to bring the parts up to EVCON so we can start assembling it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Let's rig you up with the motor and the inverter, and maybe some heat exchangers and stuff, and
Come up with a kit.
and you work out what you want to do on the drivetrain. Come up to EVCON, take the boat back with you, or after EVCON, pick it up.
Well, I'll have the thing for EVCON. I mean, I could take it now, but the thing that would worry me is could I find the weekend to bring it back up here before EVCON, because we're, 3 weeks out?
Yeah, see, we're not very far away from EVCON.
And I want people to see this boat. This thing's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, we want to park this, and my Delta's coming in the 1st of August.
Okay.
We're going to put the two of them in the arena building, and
Well, I think what I'll probably do is probably tomorrow morning I'll make some cardboard templates or sometime, and I'll take those back with me to make the saddle.
Okay.
And then I'll make the thing adjustable so that it can be shifted as needed, because nothing in this boat's going to be perfectly straight. I mean, we all know that.
Right.
And it's not anything about the builders. They do a great job. It's just that when you deal with wood and bend stuff and stretch it, it's not going to be exactly straight anywhere.
Right.
So we'll come up with something that makes the drivetrain of this make sense. Battery boxes, I don't think are a problem in this boat. You got plenty of room back here. I don't even think weight's going to be the problem. So
Yeah.
all boils down to how efficient that pump's going to be. That's the
I'm
the
worried
question mark.
about that motor being in there secure and having kind of a vibration free. That's another.
Well, I will rubber mount the motor.
Yeah. I don't want a lot of rubber on there.
Yeah, I don't want to. It'll actually have the urethane, and I maybe even use a fluid-filled urethane grommet that they use in the modern cars to keep the.
Yeah, Anna's making guitars out of boats.
Right. Well, Anna does have an aluminum boat, so we got a big advantage in sound dampening here.
Guitars are made out of wood.
Yeah, but you ever heard a Dobo guitar made out of aluminum?
Well, no, I did as soon as he fired it up the first time.
Yeah,
I said, that's a dobro.
Dobo, yeah, that's it.
And
So yeah, we'll take care of the resonance problem.
Okay.
We're definitely going to put. I'm thinking maybe just some fluid mount urethane bushings.
oh, that'd be great.
You know, bolt top, bolt bottom, and a urethane goo in the middle. Because that's, if you look, that's what's here. That's a urethane bushing right there. So that's what they originally mounted it with.
Yeah, if you could take the motor and inverter and kind of give that some thought and some measurements and bring those back to Avcon, then we'll get the boat down there after the show, and you can puzzle over it.
Yeah, we'll still need a bushing on this piece just to support that. So I'll probably take this piece here with me, just so I'll be able to make the proper bushing piece.
Sure.
But yeah, I think a saddle up here, maybe a fiberglass plate to put it in the bottom of the boat and spread the load out over the stringer system. I think that's what you need.
Okay.
I think it'll be fun. It's going to be a fun little boat.
All right. Well, I think it's going to be a great project. We're going to get you a camera and get you into power video.
Power video. Okay. We'll work it out.
All right. Now, he's actually done electric boats going back a number of years.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know how much of that will apply to the UQM drivetrain, but I was
Give it a shot.
terribly impressed with his work on the and the result on his thing.
On his Acapulco thing, yeah.
My
yeah.
thing can kick his thing's ass, but it can't ever be as pretty as
He's
his
got
thing.
a nice thing.
He's got a very nice thing
Yeah,
going on.
nice
there.
thing.
And he just does this in his garage. He's got like a foot press and stuff. I mean, he does little machining things in the most ingenious ways.
Yeah.
And I think he'll. I knew if I could talk him into it. The thing was, I had this boat made 30 miles from where he's at.
I know. In
And then
Georgia.
he like told me he was busy. Sorry, I'm busy washing my
Can't do
hair
it.
that day.
That's
Oh,
right.
well, okay, all right. So we had it shipped up here. Then all of a sudden he sees it on the show, and it's like, well, I could have done
I
that for you.
I could do that.
And,
And he's here.
No, it'd be a fun build. I'd
Yeah.
love to do it, but we just have so much going on. If I can get him to video a little better. And his last one with the Model S was pretty good.
Yes, it was. Yeah, when he did the
And
tour of
so,
the S, yeah.
I think you'll learn a lot more with him showing you step by step than me waving my arms and wishing I had done it different. And so that's that. I've got some toys.
Ah, cool.
In addition to this, we have made contact
Take this out.
with a company called Rebling Plastics. And I'm not a whole lot familiar with them, but I have used their products a lot in the past. And that is because they are very popular as battery connectors for aircraft.
Oh,
All
okay.
the aircraft have
Rebling?
auxiliary plug-ins and battery connectors and stuff made by Rebling. And we are now going to stock these. I talked to the guys at Rebling. They normally send you to an aviation parts supply, and which are always expensive.
Yeah, they're always
And
more
as it
expensive.
turns out, even going to them directly, it's expensive.
Okay, okay.
But they're very high quality connectors, and when you start talking about boats, I want to be able to connect cables and things in a fairly weatherproof and secure fashion. And how these work is they have a little T-handle. Now, you can get them with a knob handle. I always like the T-handle because it seems like I get more leverage. It's got nice 3/8-inch terminals. These are good. The series we have, 7002 and 7009, are good for up to 3/0 cable,
Oh, okay.
which with our AC systems, we're mostly doing 1/0.
We're doing
now.
one, yeah, right.
And even our DC and our other systems,
Yeah,
2/0.
we've rarely used 2/0 anymore,
we,
yeah.
we did 4/0 in the truck, and
Yeah,
I just
the Escalade,
it was
yeah.
like wrestling a snake.
It was
you know.
like a morbid
my
snake.
arms aren't strong enough to bend that
Yeah,
stuff. So.
and it takes about
But this is
3
perfect
yards.
for 1/0, and they
Yeah,
do
nice.
a lot of current, a lot of voltage. This has a shroud over it. This is the same thing. There is a plastic shroud you bolt kind of over it, which makes it sort of awkward to assemble, but you hook your cables up ahead of time. And this piece, of course, you put a hole in your battery box. It has a gasket for weatherproofing, and you install this with 4 recessed screw holes, and so you use the
A countersunk one?
Countersunk.
Sure, okay.
screws and mount this actually in the battery box and have connections inside.
Inside, that's
We'll have
cool.
entirely sealed battery boxes.
Yeah, that's
in
cool.
The boats.
Yeah.
And then here's your cable set, and it has this shaft that's got a cam in it, and so you don't have to screw it in very much. You put it in position, and I would say that's
And it just sucks it in.
a half turn.
Yeah, it's nice.
And it draws it up and snicks into place. You know when it's on.
Yeah.
And then you cannot separate these.
Yeah, that is cool.
It's not possible.
I like that.
And so instead of terminating them in the box and going through gland nuts and then going to the next box and terminating that inside the box, it's a problem to do maintenance and take things in and out and so forth.
Sure.
And so for us, this is a lot more operational.
Yeah, and it breaks the pack too in a couple of
Now,
places.
I got to
now,
tell you,
yeah.
these are non-trivial. I think we're selling these for $295.
Okay.
And I have another one with a black thing. It's not the color. This one's good up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one's good up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. It's their high temp version if you have a need for that.
Okay.
And those
Good.
will be $345. A very expensive connector, but I've told you that I've never met a connector I liked. Actually, this one I do.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's a nice connector.
I believe it's safe. I think it's secure. It does a lot of current. It's the finger females in there, and the big posts, and these are the solid posts, which do a little bit more lower resistance.
Okay,
And
nice.
so
That's a nice
it's
piece.
it'll do any current you guys are going to do with an AC system. If you're under 600-700 amps, this is ideal.
Perfect.
And
Nice.
it's actually rated, for a peak far beyond that. And so I'm a little bit proud of those. We also have a brand new battery in. Then this is the next of the cam series that we just got in. I have 12 of them in the world, and I was enraged to hear from Keegan that I'm not going to get any more till September,
No.
and it could be the end of September.
Yeah, he was saying
And I'm
2-3
going to,
months. Yeah.
cast aspersions on his Chinese ancestry until that gets better.
There you go.
He's going to get more of these done. This is the Cam 80, and I am particularly taken with it. It's a thicker battery than the Cam 72 was, but it's
look
this
at
is
that. That's amazing.
This is a 12-volt pack.
Yeah, that
And
is
they
pretty
come
cool.
with this plastic thing on there because some BMS designer, and we showed you
We
the
showed you the
photographs
video,
of what the
his photo,
clowns
yeah.
were doing, caused a fire. So I can't get them to not come with that. You can take it off. There may be some applications where you want to leave it on.
I mean, there could be. Yeah.
The we have a 45 millimeters strap that works perfectly with this, and it not only works face to face, but adjacent. It's the same strap. That's one of the things I like about the cell.
That's what's cool.
It's square on the ends. It's the same distance to the side as it is to the end for the terminal. So you use the same strap to either put them adjacent or face to face. Almost all of our cells, you have two different straps. And so I give you a strap with all the cells, but then when you find out you got to bridge a row or something, you got to come back. And so we get all these orders for 4 straps.
Yeah, a couple of straps. Where they realize they're going adjacent.
This one is square. This is 5 inches tall, plus 5 millimeters for the terminals.
Wow.
Plus, I guess another 3 terminals, 3 or 5 for the bolt.
For the bolts,
and the strap. But 5 inches tall. It's 6.83 inches wide and 1.63 inches thick. 4.8 pounds. 100 of these will give you a 25.6 kilowatt pack, and it weighs 480 pounds. This is just excellent.
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah.
And like in the boat and stuff, this short factor lets me do a short box. The 72s are nice and thin, but they're quite tall.
Yeah.
And that works in some applications, but it doesn't in others.
No,
This would be
will
really
work.
nice to have this short cell, and this is what we're going to use going down the sides of the boats.
Cool.
Inside. And but it's a matter of getting enough of them.
Yeah, we have to get some though. Yeah, we can't run it on 12.
Again, these are ridiculously expensive. They're the new cell. I think that's $155 for an 80
For an 80 amp hour, okay.
But it lets you set a new level for weight and volume of batteries
Certainly
in a
does.
car. And so, in theory, you would get by weight, a 20% increase in range for the same weight.
Yeah.
Or a 40% increase in range for the same volume. And volume is the battle we mostly fight.
Right, we mostly fight volume, yeah. Places to put
I'm
stuff.
always by 1/32 of an inch.
Yeah.
And so that's the deal. I'm very excited about both the Cam 72 and the Cam 80. I assume they will eventually become more available.
More available.
And at a better price, I hope. But they're, I think, a significant advance. I can't tell much difference in operation. I will do some tests on the Cam 80, but there's not
Shouldn't be that much
I can't
difference,
throw
yeah.
a cap between them and the CAs, except that with the AC systems we're using, the 60 amp hour is just a touch small.
Just not enough,
The
yeah.
CA 60.
Yeah,
And so the 72 and 80s are kind of ideal.
yeah. Kind of take place of the
for what I
hundreds,
wanna
huh?
do. Yeah. And when you're doing, you can do 400 volts and an 80.
Right.
And you're at a 33 kilowatt pack.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And the UQM and the Siemens will do that. For the AC systems, those are lower voltage. But you put 280s and you got 160, and you've kind of broken it up. You can sprinkle it around the car.
Right, you can get the weight and balance
instead
cool.
of the
Yep.
180s. And of course, these will come in a little bit higher than 80.
Yeah, they
anyway.
usually do, yeah.
And so I think they're going to, these boats, they're going to be the first of their kind because of the batteries. Nobody's had that weight volume
No,
ratio in a boat before, and I think they'll go like scat.
yeah, I think so too.
With the UQM or the Siemens, either one.
Yep.
And the AC 35, he's supposed to be doing a 35 dual, cooled by mineral oil or something. It's going to come presented.
We'll
at
find
EVTV,
out, yeah.
And shiny steel or
I think
aluminum or
stainless steel
something.
and maybe some anodized aluminum end bells.
So that's going to be an exciting announcement there, and so that one we'll be able to put down 160 kilowatts
Yes,
in a boat.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
And
Yeah.
that's the UQM and Siemens are basically 100 kilowatt
Yes.
beasties, you might squeeze a little bit more out of that, but you're not going to do 160.
No, no.
And so we're going to have 3 really good AC systems picked from for both cars and boats, but these batteries sort of change the world. And look what a 12-volt battery looks like.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
80 amp hours.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Criminy, I mean, that'll put out, 1,000 amps easy. Starter SLI battery, of course, it would be a fortune.
It'd be a fortune for one, but that's 12-volt battery.
$600 instead of 65, but it lasts the life of the car.
Yeah.
Brain, I've enjoyed as much of this as I can.
You're taking all you can take for this episode.
Let's get me some music, get me out of here. It's time to have a gin and tonic.
All right. Well, it's been nice talking with y'all. We'll see you next week.
All right.